even remotely related to cats or Russians.
To be fair, though, I love seeing any kind of cat videos, Russian or otherwise.
Perfect way to start the episode.
I like cats and I like dogs, but I don't find entertainment in watching videos about them.
Meanwhile, my cat's sitting next to me on my computer chair while I'm sitting on a dining room chair that I've brought into my computer room here.
Well, the first wrong thing you said was your cat, and that's it's human.
No, it's not. You said your cat. Don't you mean our cat, comrade?
Comrade.
Yeah, for some reason, a couple months ago, not even a couple months ago, like a month ago, just YouTube suddenly decided that I needed to see
recommend
Russian
all
cat
sorts
videos.
of weird shit to you because its algorithm's all fucked. I mean, I was telling Cam before you came on our live stream last week, got a copyright claim from CBS that blocked it in most countries, including Canada and the US.
Wait, Canada's real? My God.
Apparently. I don't believe it, but apparently that's what people are saying. And yeah, it's like, you know, they got a copyright claim on the video that blocks it, and it's for stuff that technically, you know, it's fair use of fair use. Like the footage we were using was heavily edited by someone else.
Well, as we've seen, and
they don't care. I mean, Nintendo, as we covered a few weeks ago, Nintendo was abusing the hell out of the DMC. And YouTube itself, was it 2 weeks ago or last week?
As we've seen,
with Bungie.
I forgot who it was, but some company out there was complaining that.
No, it was Bungie. Destiny 2 content creators and Bungie themselves were getting DMCA striked. It's like, you know, Bungie, the guys that make Destiny 2, were getting the DMCA strike. Something's not right.
Well, and because, of course, now that it's a company getting fucked over, not a person, hopefully, YouTube should be doing some shit about that.
As if.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but there's still a better chance than there would otherwise be.
Yes, but that's like raising it from 0% to 2%.
Yeah, but still. Something's better than nothing.
Is it?
Maybe.
Only on Tuesdays.
What about Thursdays?
Don't ask questions.
What about Thursdays?
That's when you freeze.
Freeze is coming. So Star Citizen. By the way, a new PTU patch. Just getting right into it. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Alpha 3.17.0 is now in the PTU, Wave 1. So, concierge and subscribers. It is unstable. Doesn't do it justice. It is beyond unstable, from what I've heard.
It's fucky wucky.
But actually, a new patch just dropped. Earlier today? I want to say at 4:33 p.m. Eastern. So that's like 3 hours ago. Exactly.
I watched a popular streamer try and do an episode in the current PTU, and I want to say within 15 to 20 minutes, he had crashed like 5-6 times, and he's like, "Okay, guys, I got to stop this. We're going back to the regular PU."
Yep. Unfortunate.
And they weren't like, he wasn't doing strange things either. You know, he was literally like walking around the space station, and the game would just crash.
Whoa! How dare you try walking around the space? You get out of here.
I know. Jesus. Need to pick another mode of locomotion.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't walk.
Yeah, how dare you?
Speaking of which, whatever happened to push-pull mechanics? Weren't we supposed to have that like 6 months ago?
They took it off the list like, I don't know,
5 times
months ago. Yeah, so yes, we were supposed to have it Q1 of this year. Last it was actually on there from what I remember, but it got taken off.
Okay. And no updates as to what what its status
Nope.
is? Just ghosted?
It's probably going to rely on the what is it? The player interaction shit that's coming soon, Tim.
Yeah, player interaction
You think-
experience in 3.18, right?
Yeah.
How do you
something
think
like
it ties into that?
I would think so. But I don't think we'll see it as
How
part
will
of
it tie
that
into it?
patch. I think that just we're going to get a update shortly after that with, hey, now that this other work was done, because it's like, oh, we were
Right.
working on it, but then it turned
How-
out we wanted to do X and X required Y and blah blah blah.
I'm just curious. I have no knowledge of it, so that's why I'm asking. How do you think that the push-pull mechanics? I'm specifically talking about like the EVA stuff, where we're supposed to be able to like pull ourselves along the hull of the ship. How do you see that interacting with the player inventory stuff? Like, what ties it to that?
Very oddly at first. So I really don't know.
Okay.
I think like just as it is, and I should know. For those who might be listening and don't know, the player push-pull mechanic is the ability for a player that is wearing, let's just say I'm just wearing a civvy clothes. I'm just wearing some pants and a shirt, and that's it. Like I don't even have a flight suit on. I don't have a helmet equipped. None of that. Just same shit you see all the NPCs wearing when you're in like a space station. So push-pull is what will allow you without a spacesuit to navigate a zero-G environment, whether that's a spaceship, whether that's a station that doesn't have gravity on, whatever. Because remember, zero-G does not mean no atmosphere. So it's the ability to go and grab onto handholds and then push yourself off and grab other handholds, that kind of shit. So one potential way this could work, at least the mechanic itself, not for interacting with the inventory system, is it might just be like, hey, let's say if I'm in a constellation, there might be just certain areas that are set to be handholds. And those would probably start off with all of the chairs are going to have some kind of a hand, like you can hold onto the chair itself. And then from there, you have the option of, hey, I can aim myself at either A, B, C, or D from here based on what's near you and what has a clear path to it. And then you'll push yourself off to that other one there. And then there'd probably also be a free option to just be like, I just want to go this way. And that'd be for things like going through like an airlock or something. But it's going to be iffy. Just because, especially too, if I don't have any kind of thrusters on me and I get stuck in the middle of a room, I'm going to be stuck in the middle of a room. I have no options really besides just thrashing about wildly. So I don't know what they would do to go and potentially counter that to where you're just kind of stuck because, well, hey, you planned to jump wrong and you're just floating in space now.
Yeah, to me, that's where we need the like realistic physics, in the sense that, whatever motion you create, that should be perpetual until you hit something that stops it. Might be really, really slow, but you should that would solve that problem of you potentially getting stuck in no man's land. And also, I think of it more like EVA type mechanics, which is you're trying to launch yourself from one ship to the other, and you miscalculate it, and say, like the movies, you bounce off the hull, now you're drifting. You shouldn't come to a stop. You should continue to go in whatever that ricochet direction might have been.
Unless you find something to grab onto.
Exactly. So, or maybe you're fucked, and now is when you start making distress calls, going, "Hey, I'm floating away. Somebody come get me."
Just pray that this doesn't happen to you when you're in orbit around Crusader, because then you are totally screwed. I'm totally not talking from experience.
Why just Crusader? Why not,
Well, because I've only done it around Crusader, and I'll
Oh.
just tell you, Gas Giant Gravity is a cruel, cruel mistress.
I remember doing it with I think it was Daymar, and yeah, that was I didn't burn up in the atmosphere as I was expecting, but I did impact the ground, and it did cause death. Anywho, yeah, I was just curious what you know, what you're basing that off of, Cam. And you know, gut feeling is totally acceptable. I'm not downplaying that in any way.
Yeah. My wonder would be that on top of that, how carrying things is going to work in 0G. Because
Oh,
like, you know, if
what?
I've got a
Sorry, you
box and
dropped
I
out.
want to grab a handhold,
How carrying
I
things
have to let
will
go of
work
the
in
box.
zero
If
G.
that box requires 2 hands, that's going to be an issue.
Yep.
I imagine you're gonna have to rely on EVA artists, and if you don't have one, then I guess it's gonna play into screwed because you didn't think through.
I'd like to see them have some way, like, essentially, you know, you can take, like, either carry straps, or you can do something like take a bandolier or a belt and strap it around that
Or do just a
box,
single
as long as it's within
underarm
the, you know, the
carry.
carryable size, and you know, attach it to your to a carabiner on your stuff to do stuff like that. But then, you know, the minute you go into, say, like gravity, then that thing's gonna, you know, be extremely cumbersome and cause problems with your movement until you undo it, kind of a thing. Like that, to
Yeah.
me, that would be an acceptable mechanic.
Or something like, you know, you're carrying it under your arm like you would a helmet or a basketball. You just have one
Yeah.
arm and then the other arm's
Yeah.
free.
Yep.
Honestly, we do need more carrying options of various types. Like for boxes, for bodies. Like I'd love to have a fireman's carry for bodies instead of just having to rely on dragging. Because the dragging mechanic is a good mechanic, and I do like it, especially for combat situations. Like, oh, your buddy's shot, you still need a hand free to shoot back. This way you can drag your buddy with a rifle or pistol in hand and fire back as you're dragging him away. But
Well, and I mean, they've also
in other situations, you'd be like, okay, I need to get out of here really quick. Screw firing back and all that. I want to be able to fireman's carry him, and just run out of here.
Well, I mean, they do have already with the current drag mechanics. They've got with just that, if they were to go and have you, because right now it's just if you have a pistol, you can drag with one hand and hold the pistol in the other. If they expand that to where you're just holding the rifle and, you know, with a pistol grip in the same exact way, I think that would work out pretty much fine.
You can do that now. If you're dragging a body and then you just equip a rifle instead of a pistol, you can hold it and use it.
Yeah. So it's like I think that would be fine.
Yeah, they need something. Because you're right. Like there is the combat scenario where you just want to grab the guy by the scruff of the neck and pull him out of the line of fire. But then there's, you know, hey, we need to get to the ship. I need to pick this guy up and actually run with him. One thing I'm hoping they do. Sorry.
No, go on.
Oh no, just one thing I'm hoping they do is they allow maybe like a short burst kind of adrenaline drag, in the sense that like you're not gonna do, you know, you're not dragging this guy any distance, but maybe for like
just in the cover,
you know, 3 meters, 4 meters, something like that. Yeah, you just reach out and you just yank that person, because
you're just trying to get him out of the middle and into cover with you, so you can actually work on him while your buddies are laying down suppressant fire.
Yeah, the guy was shooting around a corner, got smashed in the face, and he's laying there in a pile. You just want to pull him, 3 feet around that corner so he's out of the direct fire.
Yeah.
Because Arma has the drag mechanics, but what they've done wrong is they make it extremely slow and cumbersome. So you're basically like tiny little baby stepping, slow motion, pulling this guy as people are shooting at you. And because of that, most people are like,
just hanging out there, and you're just as bad up as he is practically.
Yeah, so nobody uses it. Like it's rarely used, because I might as well just get out there and start shooting back at this guy, and maybe my buddy bleeds out, but at least we're not both dead, kind of a thing.
Yeah, or something like,
I
okay,
agree.
or you can just you're gonna be able to kill him faster than you can drag him out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then they kill them, and then get to their buddy without fear of having to get shot at because they're all dead now.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they do that. And I absolutely agree. Fireman's carry absolutely needs to be in there.
And again,
With
it goes back to what we always say here, and that's options. We need more options, right? Especially when it's something like this, where it's okay, drag, so I can have a gun out, right? This way, okay, I can drag him away and fire back, but it's slower. Or I don't have a gun now because I'm carrying him with both hands and he's on my back, but I can move faster now because of weight distribution, and I have my I'm not hindering by dragging something, I'm carrying it. So now you can move faster, but you can't protect yourself. So there's a nice gameplay, do I do this or do I do that type of options?
Or the third option. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one thing that I might like to see on top of that too would be that, so you've got the, I'm just grabbing him by the scruff of the neck. You've got like a fireman carry kind of thing. Although I will say, at least how the military teaches fireman carries, they teach you so that if I've got a guy on my back, I've got one arm kind of holding onto his legs or his arms, and then whatever my dominant hand is, I'm still holding my weapon, and sure, I'm not going to be sniping with this thing, but I can still go and be putting rounds down range here with this thing. So I would definitely like to see something like that, to where just you have an aiming penalty, or you don't exactly have a good crosshair, so
or they can do it by they can control
you're just putting suppressive fire down. That's
yeah, exactly. Because they're like, oh shit, I don't want to
recoil.
Straight around.
They can use the recoil. Like, okay, you have one hand, so your recoil is going to be more significant, and that's how they can implement that type of mechanic.
But
at least one way they can.
One thing I would like to see, and this would require, of course, a bit more work for it in multiple ways. Way back when, if any of you guys remember playing Gears of War, and I forgot which one, but there was some story mission in it where you have to go and pick up. There's this big old crate. It's like a big old foot locker. It's probably like 5 feet in length or something like that, and like 2 feet wide, foot tall, that kind of shit. And to grab it, you would grab one handle and the NPC would grab the other, and then the NPC would just kind of try to follow along beside you, and you would kind of just mosey your way on that, but you've got one hand on your gun. It would be cool if there was something like that, both for, hey, if I'm carrying something large, like a component or something that's still movable, but it's not pick-upable, okay, I need another person for this. Or if I'm grabbing someone, like if I've got someone who's got a leg injury but they're otherwise fine, if they can go, do the whole like I'm one-handed hugging you, I can still, and actually both of us could still have our weapons up. Sure, we aren't going to be super accurate because we aren't two-handing our weapon, but that still keeps him mobile instead of him hopping or dragging himself. We can keep moving in a straight direction, but we're also both still combat capable as well. But that would require a whole lot of good net code to make sure that everything's syncing up and all that kind of shit.
Yeah. A lot of work.
All right, sorry about that.
No, there's no forgiveness here.
Okay.
There's only Zool.
Well, screw you. Anyway, so how did we get it on this? We were talking about 3.17.
Pineapples. We're talking about pineapples.
Right, push and pull mechanics.
Yes.
Yeah, they were scheduled at some point for. I mean, originally you want to go back to 3.8 that they're.
I remember 3.2.
So yeah, we got 317. It's in the PTU, and it's not great. However, we do need people to suffer through it so that they can at least get it back and get it into a stable state, so it can be in the. So, to any of you that are torturing themselves in the PTU right now, kudos. That's it. We did get a new live patch. Alpha 316.2. It added a sand. It was, of course, April Fool's joke. So this is all whatever. But added a sandworm, new Babbage, snow polish, mission giver, John Crew, ASMR mode.
Oh yeah.
PvP slider to the Moby-Glass. A new robust romance system. And a bunch of other just nonsensical stuff, including the Big Benny challenge, an Arena Commander, and Multiflex Nova Cross. It's essentially everything that's either stuff that's supposed to be coming, but nowhere near ready, or just make believe stuff that's not existing, like the Cutlass Purple.
Hey, you don't hate on my Cutlass Purple. We'll get it someday.
The fucking disco. The disco ball was on the exterior, correct?
Maybe.
But yeah, it was a fun April Fool's joke. Yeah. I also love how the turtles have returned to Hardcourt was one of the feature updates. It was essentially just a giant shitpost. Okay, but the real news inside Star Citizen last week was the Expanse Glance, which is essentially, look, we got a new MISC ship called the Expanse. It's going to confuse all of us. It's already confused us a few times before we went live, just today. But essentially it's a entry-level dedicated refinery ship, so like a starter ship. I guess you can say it's like the companion ship to the Prospector. Prospector mines the ore, and then it can drop off those saddlebags, give it to the Expanse to refine, and there you go. And then have a cargo ship take those saddlebags to sell while it delivers fresh ones and repeat the process. It can be a really cool ship to use in tandem with the Prospector and some cargo ships. Give you some security. In there you have like a full org operation there, or multiple org operations there if you're hiring another org to provide security, or even cargo transport.
I see a lot of problems in the development for that ship. I have no problem. Like, I'm all for the idea of it and what it's, what our collective mass, our idea is. But I think CIG doesn't know what they want to do with refining as far as the very specific mechanics involved. So I foresee this ship being kind of a problem child for quite a while until they figure that out. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I mean, that's going to be the case with the Orion as well.
Well, I think the Orion's a little easier in the sense that, it's
an onboard refinery too.
Right, but it's also, you're just going to go gnaw on things, whereas this ship is more about, you just kind of sit there and wait for people to bring stuff to you. And I think that's where it gets kind of crazy in the mechanics of, how do they do this? Because don't just think of the ship and its mechanics and just the refueling or refining mechanics, but think about, like, how does this impact the economy? So if this player has this ship, what does this do to the economy? Can he refine absolutely anything, but just in small quantities? Or, is he going to be limited to only certain things? Or maybe there's different types of refinery, components. So in other words, you get component A, refinery A, and it lets you refine, item 1, item 2, and item 3, but the other, there's 9 other items that you can't refine. But then if you switch out get component B, then maybe you can do a different 3 or 4 items. Like, is that it? That's what I mean by, like, they need to figure out what these mechanics are going to be. Because if you can refine absolutely anything, that's a huge moneymaker. So you're going to have, that's going to replace the prospect. Like, the prospector is the moneymaker right now, right? For single-handed. Like, if you just want to make money on your own, you basically go get a prospector and you just start refining. But now, if they bring this ship in, the prospector, why bother going and mining? Why not just have this ship? You just sit there and wait for people to come to you, and you make money. Like, that's what I mean by they gotta figure out how the economics are going to work around this thing via the mechanics that they allow. Am I making sense?
No, you're making dollars.
We're making money from this.
So
No,
I mean,
not real money, monopoly money.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, the Orion to a lesser extent, but I think it has a more refined role, if that makes sense.
Get it?
I mean,
refined?
it's horrible. It's got a more. It's the end goal of the mining gameplay loop, essentially. That ship, like, it does everything.
Yes.
It's all in one. Obviously, you're gonna need a crew for all of that, but I mean,
yep.
Yeah, you don't have to go to a station to refine or this or that. Like, obviously, you're gonna have to go to a station like Dell and get rid of the empty space out, essentially. But
you're right.
You can mine it, you can refine it there.
So it's going to be designed to do everything. Whereas this new ship is supposed to be in that, like, starter.
It has to work with
not
other
starter
ships.
ship for, like, starting the game, but starter career wise.
Yeah.
In the refining process, which means that the mechanics need to be available, but they need to be limiting to make the person want to move up. So that's where I think, like, they got to figure out how the mechanics are going to work.
Well, the ship itself has 6 reactors that allow either different or the same processing type simultaneous refining. Carries 8 pods, 4 on each side. Prospector, or it's the same little bags as the prospector.
Bear in mind, reactor. So for those who don't know,
it's in quotations. Yeah, it's not an actual reactor.
The refinery equipment that does a refining job, they are at least currently calling this a reactor. So just to put that out
it's
there.
Not like it's not an actual reactor like a fusion or fission reactor.
I think they said, that what they mean is it's a chemical reaction process.
Yeah, so it's a reactor in that, like, in the terminology of like a verb, essentially. It's reacting.
The problem is also often we hear reactor and we're thinking like a nuclear
exactly,
reactor.
Yeah, like a fission or fusion reactor, but it's not a power source. It's literally, think more literal.
It would have been better if they had called it a chemical reactor.
Yeah, if they were a little more specific, like a chem reactor, just literally that would be great. But
something along those lines. But it is what it is. Not a huge deal.
But it also features a cockpit, living section, and operation/engineering for the
not those
chem reactor.
Anything but those.
I think they'll sell well. Like, I think a lot of people are going to buy them.
Well, here's the thing, like, with the exception of how the hell are they going to do, like, because we just don't know how they're going to do the whole refinery gameplay loop yet, like, in tandem with the mining game, like, how that all is going to work and play out and tie together.
Yeah.
This ship is actually, like, it's probably the first good non-cash grab ship we've had in a while. In years, maybe. Like, what was the last ship that made really... Okay, aside from the Liberator, the Anvil Liberator, what was the last ship where it's like, we don't need another fighter or this or that, like cargo, or like, this isn't a ship that fills a new role or fills an existing role in a way that allows for a different type of gameplay.
I think the MSR.
Okay, but when the MSR was...
If I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, you're saying, what was kind of just a well-rounded, doesn't have a specific task type ship?
No, I'm saying what type of what ship, like, is the recent announcement of ships that have come from CIG are very, kind of like, why do we need new ships right now? Type thing, right?
Yeah, well, it's stuff for like, why do we need this? What role or niche does this fill? What is
Okay.
its purpose?
Whereas here,
Gotcha.
it's like, hey, this actually fits a role and is a ship that needs to be added. It's an entry level refinery. Like the gameplay loop can be really useful, especially to, again, like if you're just starting out. Okay, my buddy's got a prospector, and I have this the Expanse. Okay, he's gonna do the mining, and then I'll come by and do the refining stuff, and then we go sell it, and then you can build out from there.
Yeah, no.
And that's just
like
the
I said,
small. That's the small end of things. Large end is like huge org operations. These things.
Yeah, I think it's going to sell well.
317 is did a patch report inside Star Citizen last week, adding ship-to-ship player refueling, also rebalancing fuel efficiency and fuel scoops for many ships, because right now every ship has fuel scoops. That won't always be the case. Ships like the 100i will always have fuel scoops. That ship specifically is designed for it. Other ships will retain
caveat to that.
What?
Caveat to that, I believe, I think it might have been John Crew said they were actually thinking about taking away fuel scoops from ships. So even if your ship has it designed, they might be taking that away.
Really? Well, that's going to be problematic for that ship.
Oh, yeah.
That would be.
That's going to be... Remember a while back ago, I was saying people aren't recognizing or realizing the impact that's going to have, and when it does, especially when you get into these wider distance systems, people are going to freak out because all of a sudden,
You're
hey, my ship's like not crazy, stupid. Yeah. So that's kind of like a stealth biggie right there.
Is John Crew just like kind of pulling people's chain? I know it feels.
It definitely seems like sometimes it's kind of like, what are you doing here, man?
This is just my personal opinion. I can't base it on any one specific thing, but I've kind of always had a feeling about John Crew that he kind of has a chip on his shoulder, and I don't know why or where it comes from. But I kind of get the feeling sometimes he's just kind of like, fuck you all, leave me alone. We're going to do what we're going to do. We're trying to make something good, but we don't have time for you kind of an attitude. And
I do agree with that, at least to some extent here. There definitely does sometimes feel like this mentality of...
He doesn't come right out with it. But there's that kind of background feeling or vibe that kind of radiates off of him. I'm kind of like, I got to deal with you fucks now. Kind of, I don't know. I also think that he personally doesn't like the Terrapin, and that's why the Terrapin's in purgatory.
Oh yeah, the poor Terrapin. Poor little Terrapin.
I feel like there's several ships that, for whatever reason, he does not like, and because he does not like them,
they
suffer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I agree.
I really hate that that's a thing, because it's like ships and designs should not be essentially held hostage due to one individual deciding, well, I don't like this.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not actually like anti John Crew. Like, I think he does a good job in general.
He's clearly done some really good shit, of course.
Yeah. I just think there's like that, like I said, there's a background vibe that I get off of him that's just kind of makes me go, a little bit. But in general, I think he's doing a good job. But
yes,
it's kind of stop being so selective with the ships.
Come out as like, I'm against John Crew. That's not it.
No, we're not. Yeah. We're not here to bash anyone. We're just kind of venting a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's take away scooping. It's like, oh, that's going to be a long-term problem that you're definitely going to have to feel the backlash for later because it will impact gameplay on every level. So,
well, that's just it. Like, I totally understand why they're doing it. It makes sense. And again, this is the economy side of things, that they need a way, because if they're going to have fuel providers, then they need a way to limit the fuel. And, like, they have to justify its existence, kind of.
you can
And
make
so
it. You
if
can
you-
make it location specific. Like if you're not,
Sorry?
if you're in it's location specific. Like if you're in a location where you're not going to be able to
Well,
scoop
no,
fuel.
because they want to sell you ships that can actually go and do refueling, like the Starfarer. So they can't, if every ship.
But not every ship's going to be able to
little
have
bit-
fuel scoops. So the ones that do, you make it where
Sorry?
okay, not every ship's going to have fuel scoops. Only some are supposed to. And the way, okay, well then you have those ships that you don't need to refuel, right? Well then you limit their scoop capabilities by limiting where they can do it.
But right now, as far as I know, and I could be wrong in this, but as far as I know, almost every ship.
Oh,
you
right
can fly
now,
in
as we speak right now, every
has-
ship can, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. It's like every ship right now can.
Right. So they need to pull that back, which basically means, I think, first iteration is, like you were saying, unless the ship specifically has it as part of like its design process, 99% of the ships are going to immediately lose their ability. And then I think they're going to review what impact that has on the economy side, and then determine if they need a phase 2, which is, no, now we need to actually go back and redesign even those ships that had them to basically make it so that you almost have to go find one of those refueling ships, or you need to go find that, that fixed location like you were saying earlier, and get your refueling done there.
Like a
But
gas giant
either
or
way-
a specific region of
Yeah.
space.
Well, I think what you'll see is remember the old gas station rearm points that used to be
Cryastro. Yeah.
around Crusader? I think you'll see those popping back up.
I'd be glad to. I miss Cryastro.
Yeah.
They had a nice design to them. Next on the patch report, we also got loot generation updates and selling, adding new, some old, and some never before seen loot. First generation of quantum running under the hood, so prices of some commodity. And quantum is not the quantum drive stuff. Quantum as in the quantum simulation tech, the back-end technology for the economy of Star Citizen. So they're going to have first generation of the quantum simulation running under the hood of the game. So prices of some commodities will be controlled by the simulation background. Lorville's getting its hospital finally, and the station clinic variety, balance, and adjustments to bleeding, injury, and death will be present in 3.17. So we talked about that, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. So
back
persisting
to the quantum thing real quick.
Yeah, go.
Is I understand that they're talking about the rarities and making stuff, certain things scarce and certain things worth more value and blah blah blah. Is that the same as that quantum stuff that you just talked about, or is that a separate item
I have no
in the
idea.
list? Okay. The only reason I bring this up is I heard the community has been kind of up in arms about some.
Yeah, where they're
Like-
gonna make Cam and I are talking about this thing. They're gonna make helmets more rare, heavy gear is gonna be a bit more rare. Or sorry, it's gonna be uncommon, and then you're gonna have the rare items be like subscriber flare will now be lootable in game. Like you go to a bunker mission, you see the loot crates everywhere. In those loot crates, you will be able to loot subscriber flare items. Pre-2022 subscriber flare items, so something like the Nerf guns, right, that came out back in, I think, 19 or 20. So you'll be able to find those in a loot crate, and you'll now have a Nerf gun, which is a subscriber item. That's cool, and they're going to be rare items. You got common, uncommon, and rare. So with loot and stuff.
Also, I like what they're talking about with a scarcity, in the sense that, like, an item might be a common item, like on the rarity level. In other words, I equate rarity to value, and I equate scarcity to, how readily you come across it. And I like the idea that they want to take, if you're on, let's say, Hurston, the scarcity of weapons is probably going to be higher, just because Hurston doesn't, Hurston tries to control all weapons coming in and out of their area, because they don't want the locals to have them. But
plus they manufacture them themselves in competitions. So.
Yeah, but maybe if you're over at Grimhex, it's like, who cares? There's weapons everywhere.
Oh, I imagine so.
Like, I like that idea, because I find that games in general have a tendency to go towards the rarity thing, which is just like, oh, this is a common weapon, so you find it literally everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter what planet you're on.
Well, that's the thing, is that they're not taking into the. It's funny because earlier today I was actually watching Morphologist's video on New Babbage, his architect reviews thing, and it's really interesting to see how because he's an architect, and he's talking about how he can tell CIG did the care and everything to make New Babbage feel real, and I'm not an architect, but I can see everything he's talking about. I've played the game dozens of times, been there, and it feels like a real location. And it's the same thing here where they're talking about with the weapons, where, Grimhex, it's a criminal haven, right? Like, this place is operated and run by criminals, for criminals. It's going to have weapons everywhere. They're going to make it regularly easily available, but they're going to rely on, security, what you can call security on criminal, to keep people in line and stuff like that. It's mutual territory for the gangs. But then you have a location like Hurston where, we can't, Second Amendment rights, what are those? Rights? Human rights? What are those? You're slaves for the corporation here. And, they're not going to have weapons, are going to be far and few between to come across. And I like how they're using the locations and the character and personality of those locations to determine what you'll find there and how much of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a good thing in the long term, I think. Plus, it gameplay wise, that's where one of the things that we've seen forever is that you have to go to different places to buy different pieces of armor. Whether it's the same exact one, but it's in the color green. Oh, you can't get that here. You gotta, you can't get that at Greenhex. You got to go over to back in the day to Delamar. To get that one specific colored item. And to me, the having these scarcities is what kind of will drive a little bit more of that in a realistic method.
I do hope in the future that we can just color the armor ourselves. We don't have to look for the specific color, or at the very least they make it a bit more intuitive. Like, you don't have to scroll through a dozen of the same armor but different colors. It just, here's the armor, click on it, and then it gives you a color. Almost like a color palette to click on, and it'll color that armor specifically. Okay, I don't like the yellow one. I'm gonna go for blue. Stuff like that. Just better UI and organization. That's just a nitpick too. I mean, it's not a nitpick. It does need to be a thing. It's not a priority.
Or just have it where you have to buy a can of spray paint.
Yeah.
Or you can color it.
So you can color it in your head. People are still going to abuse that, and if possible, color everywhere spray. That'd be fun though. We got loot generation, first generation of quantum simulation running 3.17. Got the Lorville hospitals and the adjustments to bleeding and injury and death in 3.17. Improved DNA heads and character models, so your character looks nicer. Simple Jack _live is in the chat saying, hi, second like. Thank you, Jack. We also got IFCS, QOL emission cluster and missile changes, including FPS weapon tweaks. So just some combat changes. This is a pretty significant patch for something that's that we all thought was kind of mining gadgets, obviously. Cloud tech on Hurston. So if you thought you were safe on Hurston because their performance was good there, you're going to be taken soon, shortly.
Yeah.
I will say this though, the clouds over Hurston look awesome. That's what I love about Hurston in general is, as much as we shit on Hurston, and for good reason, it is a beautiful location, but in a not pretty way, if that makes sense, because it's like a dreary cyberpunk dystopian location where a company kind of owns and rules there, and they've polluted the world to hell, and it's a horrible place to be, but it still looks nice.
Yeah, no, they did a good job designing it.
Yeah. We also got the Hull A coming out, so the first of the Hull series. Microtech is getting its River, which I've heard is a real PvP zone. And finally, you can bind a key to ATC landing, so you don't have to go through your ship MFDs or your mobiGlas anymore to call landing services. You can just press a key on your keyboard and then land.
Finally.
I know, it's like... I feel bad that we had to wait this long to get that, but I'm still not complaining because we're finally getting it. Oh, and as you can see on the screen, they also, at the end of Inside Star Citizen this week, or last week I should say, they just had 3 years of Jared fooling around because the show's 3 years old now. Because this is, I think, the last show before he moves. They all moved to the UK studio, correct?
I believe so. I think he said something about they're waiting on visa paperwork, so
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, I did notice that, like, as the last few episodes, all the memorabilia in the background is gone, save for, like, one astromech droid on a shelf. Because they're probably packing everything up to move to UK.
Yeah. Shall see.
But we do also have, like, the breakdown of stuff going on in 317. So it's quantum, cluster missiles, and more. Turret stagger rework. So previously all weapons.
Hold on. Cluster missiles.
Yes. Okay.
Holy fucking shit! I can finally load up my Talon Strike with Razzlers.
Hey, your Talon Strike's finally going to be useful. Sorry, was that too harsh?
I mean, to be fair, the Talon is definitely a glass cannon.
I mean, have you ever used? Because I've used a Talon 3 times in combat, and they were during free flies. But still, like, it's not really.
It's decent. Just if you start taking damage, you're gonna get fucked.
It's also, you're gonna be in a dogfight for a while because of the lack of weapons. Aside from this, like the strike, yeah, it's essentially a one-trick pony. But that trick is really good when it works. Since you're getting cluster missiles, that'll help a lot. Let's see. All previous weapons, all weapons were would stagger by weapon group, with lower RPM weapon setting stagger rate. Now weapons will stagger by weapon type and then weapon group. Also, pilots can now stagger their weapons alongside turret gunners. There is currently no default key binding for staggered firing in the pilot seat. Hopefully that means we still can manually customize for that. That'd be nice. Cluster missiles. We got cluster missiles now launch their mini missiles again, doing so when close to the target below a specific time to impact. If they were dumbfired or lost their target, they will launch their mini missiles after a few seconds. In addition, missiles with no target will now attempt to fly straight instead of maintaining their angular momentum, so should no longer fly in circles. Which is nice, because that means you can just dumbfire missiles like rockets. Quality of life changes. Ship's afterburner will now only drain when actually thrusting, while enabling cruise control when coupled will force coupled mode on. Pretty sure that's already a thing. While enabling cruise control.
If before, when you would go and hold down the boost button, it would go and drain it, even if, let's say, for example, if you were in decoupled mode and you're facing backwards, so your movement is essentially reverse. If you were to just hold it down, even though no thrusters are firing, it would still drain it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Essentially,
again, just quality of life stuff there.
And of course, the previously mentioned hotkey for contacting ATC.
Yep. Also, added an additional weapon keybind to fire all weapon groups. Ground vehicle signature emissions changes, so now they're adjusting the emission ground vehicles, so it's more difficult to detect them because they're smaller and have lower emissions. Physicalized ship components. We completed a major overhaul on ship personal inventory storage to accommodate the recent addition of ship components to the inventory. So this will allow you to remove ship components and weapons to different inventory spaces, including ships, and transport them to other locations, which is huge. Ships have had their personal inventory sizes increased. However, you may need a larger ship to transport larger components. As a note, this is a temporary measure while we wait the cargo refactor. So, kind of just placeholder until the cargo refactor comes into play, because that's also a big thing. Quantum simulation. Quanta is now integrated into the back end of the game in a very limited fashion for testing. Now simulated NPCs purchasing quantum fuel, regular fuel, so hydrogen fuel, repairing at stations, which players will notice primarily via the prices of those three commodities fluctuating more than before. Quantum is now impacting the frequency of certain environmental missions in certain areas, mostly around rest stops, such as Pirate Scout EM, Raider EM, and a few others. Ability to disable camera spring movement. While in third-person mode, the camera spring can add dynamic motion when the vehicle is moving. Turning the camera spring off will disable the extra motion and keep the camera perfectly locked in place relative to. Again, it's a lot of quality of life improvements with this patch, as well as some minor adjustments and tweaks. Essentially, stuff that would normally be in a hotfix patch, but the amount of stuff we needed in a hotfix patch just kind of needed its own patch, I guess. And then, yeah, this is all in the PTU right now, and it's a clusterfuck, but that's really it. It's a clusterfuck.
A fustercluck?
Clustercluck.
Clickety clack, sticky
Buster.
Uncle Fester?
Cluster-clucker? Fuck your Fuster.
Who do that you do so well?
Oh, we also got the coffee shop vendor and.
Ah, yes, because that was what we needed.
The most important thing of all, okay? The most important thing of all to some people.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever drinks coffee, I'm sure will love it. Otherwise, this would be like us. Like, who cares? At least for now.
Just a new skinned bartender.
I mean, they're probably going to be just as glitchy as the bartender. Where just the bartender kind of standing on the bar yelling at you like, I'm busy, I'll be there in a minute. And he doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that thing of until they get the Quanta
Oh yeah,
figured out.
At this point, we're kind of just like, we need those back end systems, surfer meshing, Quanta, Quasar, all those simulations, the back end technology, all of it really. Capacity game to be in a more stable and optimized state.
Yeah.
That we can then continue
Go
testing to
ahead.
go further. That's it.
I just remembered one thing. Oh man,
Yes.
I lost it again. Darn.
Back end tech, Quasar, yeah.
So, I guess the Montreal studio, I can't think of the name right now. They're like turning and burning on the wrecks and the homesteads that are demolished, the historical ones.
Oh yeah.
One thing I noticed about the wrecks that kind of just like, I don't know why it jumped out at me, but it made me go, huh? Is I noticed that they are really like they're doing the external vegetation and it looks really good. But I noticed that they are also, that vegetation goes inside the wrecks. And I was just kind of scratching my head. I'm like, I can see how vegetation might start making its way in, like, 6 feet into an entrance or any exposed area. But what would a plant live off of? It like down inside the heart of a star fair, like in the engine room. Like, what kind of light is it getting in there? Why is there plant growth in there?
I think it would depend on the wreck, because, like, for example, let's say if you had a star fair, you've got the, let's say the central cargo section that's broken off there. If you've got, because on a lot of these wrecks, most of them look pretty badly off to the point where there would be some amount of sunlight coming in. Now, okay,
that's
you've got
where
sunlight.
I was saying, like, within like 6 feet of like a major opening, I get it. What I'm talking about is like down inside the heart of the zone or whatever, the interior space that isn't exposed.
You could have, again, let's say a star fair central section here, assuming that some of the rooftop plates fell off. You could have seeds and other stuff, or birds flying over drop some seeds. That's how that stuff gets in there. You've got
I
agree
with that.
In and shit flying in, and depending, if it's been like a couple of months, I don't see a tree growing in the middle of there. But if it's been a couple of decades,
so I understand what you're saying, and I totally agree. That's not the point that I'm trying to make, though. What I was pointing out is like what the couple of scenes that jumped out at me was like completely all throughout the interior of the wreck where there wasn't any openings for sunlight or water to get in. They still had big leafy plants inside there, and that's the part I was kind of going about. I totally agree with you. Like, if there's openings, or the wreck is broken up into sections and there's just wide open spaces, kind of like the caterpillar wrecks that you find, for your missions. That part I totally get. It's the like deep in the heart of the ship where it's still, it still has walls, it still has ceiling. They had a lot of plant growth. I totally understand. Like, to me, like having like molds and funguses and mosses, like that kind of stuff might make sense, just because depending on the atmosphere or where it's located. If it's a humid place, as anyone in the Pacific Northwest will tell you, mold can grow anywhere. Like, it doesn't need light, it just grows. So that part makes sense. But just
I live in New York, and I know that because I've had it. I've had my old apartment at the freaking. Not good.
Yeah.
But it can grow anywhere. It doesn't need light. Just infest.
Right. So that kind of what's the proper word? Fauna, I get. It's just it seemed to me like they kind of went crazy with the big leafy vegetation type stuff all the way down.
Wasn't that just concept art? So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Hopefully
they'll do passes on it. And it's like, maybe they'll be like, okay, hey, this looks great for XYZ scenario, but for ABC scenario, not so much. They go, okay, let's go and tone it down here.
Yep. Yeah, I'm confident that eventually they'll get it. And,
Especially since
you guys
they
are right.
did.
Like, this is the.
Yeah, and those are the
Go ahead.
concept arts, and they looked really, really.
Yeah, and they're like Kim said, this is phase one of the design, and they probably have like they're building an algorithm that just says populate, and it doesn't care about sunlight and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be like iteration 4 or 5 when they go, okay, we got the algorithm working, now let's tailor it to the specifics of case 1 and not case 2 and 3, or vice versa.
Right, and and that's the thing. Like, as we've just discussed, and if we've seen with the game, like, little details are not missed in this game, or at least if they are, it's very far and few between. It's not often.
Caveat: in long term,
yeah,
they're not missed.
Yeah.
Initial use, yeah.
Oh yeah, like if you look at the medical gameplay, I landed, right? Like I jumped and landed and broke my legs. Now I'm just gonna bleed out instantly. Broke my legs. I didn't, impale myself in the abdomen.
For all the times
that's not what the game code said.
Yeah, really.
Didn't slit my wrist. I just broke my leg.
You fucking trip and die.
But I also have the current PTU patch notes open right now, and the known issues list is pretty lengthy.
Pretty bad.
Custom mobiGlass casings breaks the mobiGlass functionality.
That one again.
Yeah. The player is unable to place the mining gadget on a mineable rock. The large hangers are missing collision.
Ew.
I think that's probably the best one so far, unless no one tops it. Starfare boom arm not repairing if destroyed. So the same issue is like, oh, I lost a wing and the wing had a gun on it. I repair, the gun doesn't respawn.
Yep.
Players can. That's a current glitch in the PU in the live build. Has been for a few patches. Players cannot buy components directly into ship storage. Will be coming later in PTU cycle. Okay, so that's just not in yet as of this PTU build. AR markers are present when opening the mobiGlass, which can make it hard to read. Ships can explode after players exit them, so that's still a thing. That's good.
Mm.
Many mineable asteroids can't be scanned. While docked to a Starfarer, the Valkyrie will constantly tilt instead of remaining stationary. Okay, I want to see that just for shits and giggles, but that's probably not good. Interaction stopped working when using the full buy transaction. God, what bug fixes did they have done so far? Turns claiming a ship should no longer claim the next ship down the ASOP terminal instead of the selected ship. Okay, that's hilarious, but that must suck. Like, oh no, I need to claim my Carrack, and it claims, the Pisces instead. What if you don't have a ship? Like, but you need to claim the ship that's at the top of your list?
Get rogued.
Lorville ASOP terminal LOD should no longer display the old interface from a distance. Oh, that's right. They replaced the ASOP terminals, right, with the new ones.
Yes.
Ships should now consistently spawn after being called to the hangar by the ASOP. Players should now lose their loadout after dying and respawning and correctly leave a corpse behind. I'll believe that when I see it. Doorways around the Orison landing zone should no longer kill players when they walk through them. Man, this is funny, but also sad. You don't want these things to be in the game, but it is funny to read, like, oh, walking through doors kills you. Or did. They fixed it. They
fixed a cause, not the cause.
Yes. The Carrack medical bed should now heal tier 3 injuries.
Huzzah.
There should no longer be a replace me ball on the 890 jump bridge. Depending on where in the bridge it was, it probably wasn't a huge issue, but I'm imagining it just being right in front of the screen so you can't see anything. Or right in front of the view screen. Yeah, those are some
I
pretty
would
fun
love
bugs.
to see them. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, those are some pretty fun sounding bugs. What would you like to see?
Oh, they Moby-Glass and Star Map
Oh,
are
yeah.
two critical items that just need to be fixed. Like,
Yes.
it's almost to the point where no matter what else they do, it's still going to be a bad experience until they get those two things really fixed. Like, I don't think people will really appreciate the other stuff until those two things are fixed, because they're two things that you have to interact with constantly. Whereas some of these other fixes are kind of like, some people get them, some people don't, or you might only encounter them occasionally during a session.
Yeah,
even
the
still,
star
if
map
you're-
itself is just horrible. Yeah, we've been saying that for
just
years.
navigate. There were some I did notice. This was probably, I want to say mid last year sometime. I don't know when exactly. But there were some changes to some of the controls for the map. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know if
I think it was late
better
last
or
year.
what. Among other things, one of them that I noticed was that when you hold down the right mouse button, and then you go and drag it around, that used to go and just rotate the planet on whenever axis it's on. Now that'll actually go and just kind of move the view of it up, down, left, right, at least in certain situations. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because isn't one of the problems, and I don't know for sure, for some reason this is what sticks in my head, but isn't it something to do with the fact that the current star map was based off of Flash? Is that accurate?
Yes,
Yeah, it's not
so.
using building blocks. Honestly, I don't even know, is Moby-Glass at all currently using building blocks? I doubt it.
I believe it is. That's when they did the whole change alongside the inventory update, I believe. That was when we also got it to where, because I know the new inventory system is using building blocks. Because that's part of
Right, but is the Moby-Glass
and so
itself
the
using
back-end Moby has to be using that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's accurate. Yeah.
We got a TechCom in the chat saying, "Hey guys, star maps, get your star maps here." Hey Jeffrey, how was your Terminator stream, Jeffrey? He was doing a T3 stream there, which is pretty cool. Had this really cool setup too.
I think that might actually be some interesting gameplay if if you haven't, so when the game is actually out and you pick your home planet, your starting home planet, you automatically get kind of like all the data for that system. But any system that you haven't been to, it might be interesting if they made it where like that's part of the process of learning the system, is that you need to get like the local data for your star map and for your Moby-Glass kind of wired in. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes some amount of sense here.
Yeah.
Kind of like, because that gives you something for the information players to provide granted, you know, you put a very minimal charge on it, but essentially, you know, that's a reason for them to continuously update the information that they have so that they can provide it to new people coming into the system, or even old people coming back into the system who haven't been there in a long time. Like, oh, hey, you know, here's the updated system map. You know, for 1,000 credits, I give you all the latest updated info. Kind of a package deal type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give you another reason for a herald.
Yeah. Another
Talk
ship
about
that's
another ship
another
that's
ship that's
just-
been ignored. Yeah.
Yeah.
The giant engine with a little cockpit taped to the.
I think that whole ship's going to have to get completely redesigned. I mean, externally it'll still look.
But they need to
somewhat
refit the
same.
interior. I imagine they just make it a little bit wider, honestly.
I think it's going to have to grow in kind of like all dimensions, just because of all the ship components that it's supposed to have.
Oh yeah.
That it never was actually accurately modeled. Like, granted, I have not flown my Herald in probably 2-3 years, but I remember the last time I flew it, the shield generator sat in the middle of the floor.
That's where it's supposed to be. Didn't you read the owner's manual? God damn it.
Yeah,
Sir Garmer?
just you know where the data terminal
Yeah,
seat
yeah, I
was
know,
in the
I know.
back.
Right, so it's right there.
So if you were sitting in that seat, directly to your back left on the floor was the shield generator, just sitting there like.
And it was just the shield generator.
It was modeled like somebody had just dropped it on the floor there.
Awesome. Hey, look, it's a
Yeah.
Drake ship. Maybe that's just how it is.
Yeah,
I mean, that ship already looks like it's just made out of spare parts. So.
yeah, it does. But, I mean, that's part of what made it look good.
Yeah, I do hope they keep the aesthetic. And yeah, just keep the aesthetic. Just increase its size a bit to accommodate the interior space, so that you can have the proper components physicalized in the interior.
Yeah. I
We're
would
of course
actually-
assuming CIG is
so
listening to this, but
I agree with that, but then caveat to that is I would actually like them, if they were going to do an actual rework, a complete overhaul of it, I would like them to see them go back to the original design, which was that
With the little
asymmetrical
wings?
with like one wing sticking out
yes,
to
with the little
left,
wing.
I think.
Yes, that
Yeah.
I was so disappointed when that didn't turn out to be on the ship when it came.
Yeah.
I
you know,
love
with
Drake and their asymmetric. Like, I love the Cutlass Black and the Buccaneer design too, but Drake's asymmetrical designs are really good. Like the Corsair and the concept art for the Herald. What else?
Yeah.
The Kraken, the Caterpillar.
Well, I
even.
think that the MSR and the Corsair being in the game bodes well for the idea that maybe the Herald will go back to its original design ideas. I'm hoping.
cross your appendages.
Yep.
Techcom answered my question saying it was fun, got lots of views, and still proud of my new overlay. Yeah, that is a really cool overlay, dude. He had this cool Terminator overlay, like where his camera, the camera had a red filter over it and had the Terminator HUD on it as well, so it looked like he was being viewed by a Terminator. Yeah, the chat, like a Terminator filter for the chat. It was actually a really nice looking. Used Terminator Resistance and P2 set pieces for the background, and it was animated. Really, stuff looks very professional compared to what we have, especially compared to what we have. Or I just put some MP4s playing in the background, haphazardly placed on arcade cabinets.
Hey,
I
you
will
know
have
what you
to.
should
I will
do?
have to. Techcom.
You got to figure out how to get the website star map, the ARC star map.
Yes, that because
Yeah.
that star
And
map is actually
background.
good. It can be better. It can certainly be better, but it is a good starting point.
Yeah, but that would. What I was getting at is that would make a really good background image for your show.
Oh yeah, yeah, but other people do that. Okay.
Do they?
Yeah, a lot of people.
I've never
have.
seen anyone else do it.
I know. Well, what lore makers guys at the Galaxy used to do it, obviously for their lore reasons, but I've seen a few other people.
Well, yeah,
do
that's because they were actually like.
Yeah, they were
talking
actually
about it,
showing
moving
you,
it
and yeah,
around.
they had to have it. As I said, for lore reasons.
I'm talking about just having it as your background.
Maybe. Or what I can do is I know where the location, like where I took the screenshot for the arcade cabinets. I know where it is. I can just go back there, record footage of me standing in front of it. So this way, it's an animated background, and I can still overlay the gameplay screens on the arcade cabinet screen. This way, the lights are flickering and stuff on the arcade cabinets. I don't know. I can always play around with it. And as cool as the star map idea is, like, what it's just going to be the star map moving. Like, what's
the star map? Your one-stop shop for browsing the universe. Sorry, I was feeling grandiose for a second there.
Also, did you hear something? Okay.
Huh?
Meep, meep.
All I'm getting is static.
Exactly.
Test. Comms okay? But yeah, no, it is a really cool overlay, and star map. Yeah, the whole star map and Star Citizen in-game great. In-game sucks. Online, the website's great.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, the internet version gives you reason for hope that eventually the in-game one will be just as good.
Yep.
There is no hope here.
Not a moon. Oh man, I just had a flashback to the Seagulls song.
What? Oh, because Cam is doing the voice.
Are you familiar with the Seagull songs?
I know of it.
Mine?
No, the Star Wars parody ones.
No. Wait,
really?
Are you talking like Star Wars gangster rap, like that shit?
No, I know of it. It's like this. It's a like it's this horrible thing. I never watched it, but people make fun, like reference it all the time.
YouTube search Seagulls, just Star Wars. So keywords Seagulls and Star Wars.
Don't do it.
They got a bunch of funny songs. They're basically voiceovers with music.
Sounds terrible. If
They're
I wanted
funny
to
as
see
shit.
musicals, I would hit myself on the head already.
But anywho.
Any who or any boo? Boo who?
Well,
Any you.
Who does that voodoo that you do so well?
Ooh. Who is the pinball wizard?
Has to be a trick.
Yeah, it's our.
All right. Well, I think we've killed that animal.
Yeah.
Oh no!
All I got left is the. All I got left is
Oh.
non-Star Citizen stuff.
The mule.
What?
The mule.
The mule. The supposed.
Oh, the mule.
Vehicle.
Yes, the mule.
So what I've been hearing is that supposedly it's going to be. The rumor is that it's going to be a flatbed, essentially a flatbed or like hover car flatbed that fits the dimensions of the Caterpillar cargo doors that come down on the sides.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about, not the central one that most people use to get in and out, but the
essentially just a. Now here's a question, and I don't know how much information you have on this, but if or with this vehicle, is it sized in terms of both length and width of the, because with the Caterpillar, those doors open up. The lower one is supposed to lower down to the ground as an elevator, so then you can just directly load or unload one module of that, as opposed to doing anything crazy like going out through the nose or some shit there. So is this vehicle going to essentially just be a very long, very slim kind of hover dolly that you drive around?
No idea.
Because otherwise, I don't see it very easily being able to actually load the cargo on and off, at least in a gravity environment. It could be that it's just meant for 0G, but that seems a bit too niche.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. All I heard was the exact words were, it'll fit the dimensions of the Caterpillar cargo side doors. So to me,
if it's a giant square, it won't work on those elevators. And if it's the size of those elevators, I can see it being useful, but not that useful.
Well, also, aren't the doors not currently properly rendered in the sense that they don't work as they're designed to yet?
Right, like they're supposed to open up all the way like they do, and then they lower down to the surface.
Elevators.
They're essentially elevators, yeah. But they don't elevate yet.
So,
however, here's an option.
Well, let me just finish off real fast, and then we can go into the conjecture zone. So supposedly the concept behind this thing is that it's supposed to be kind of like remember in the TV series Firefly, there's that one episode where they're like they're going back to the ship with a bunch of supplies in like a big hover cart thing, and they get attacked by like raiders that are also in hover vehicles. Do you remember? Have you seen that episode?
In years.
Okay. Well, supposedly that's kind of one of the things that they might be going towards with this vehicle, but they didn't give any more specifics than that. But to me, if that's accurate, that implies that not only is it going to be just to load and unload the cargo, but to me it means that it's going to have more of like a I guess for lack of better terms, like rural out and about type moving stuff around, if that makes sense. Like you need to get your hay bales in, that kind of stuff.
Less Home Depot, more 4x4 truck.
Mm-hmm. That's the impression that I got. So, but again, no other info provided. I'm hoping that they do go that route, and it is like that, because then I can see people buying those all over the place, and I can see people using them everywhere, not just around, landing ports. That's all I got. Go for it, Cam.
If you go on my conjecture side of things, I almost feel like it's going to be something along the lines of the Star Wars Episode 4 land skimmer kind of thing that Luke and Obi-Wan take. Something like that, just with essentially with a cargo bed on there, just lengthened out a bit. On the other hand, though, on the slightly more silly side, and especially too, if this is kind of meant to be a companion vehicle that you don't have to use it with a Caterpillar, but it's kind of sort of made to go with the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
Is, again, I'm starting with the idea that you've got this very small elevator, but you want to move a lot of cargo in and out, right? So it's I could just go and put boxes on there, but with how small those elevators are, if I'm just taking what that elevator itself can hold, it's going to take a little while to load everything up there. So my thought is you have a asymmetrical hover vehicle. On one side of it, like on the bottom left or bottom right side, is where it has its hover engines and some gyroscope to keep it stable. And on the other side, and that's also too, like somewhere along that where those engines are is where the person sits. It's one person open cockpit kind of vehicle. And then on the other side you've just got however big they decide to make the cargo grid, and it's all just open. Think like the Nomad. And then also too, because well, okay, hey, I've loaded up with cargo. I've gone up the elevator, which again, because of those asymmetrical engines, it loads up in the elevator nice and neat, as opposed to being way too offset because of that elevator. Because I'm thinking it's wider than the actual elevator itself is. Okay, I go up, I strafe to the left or the right a bit, so now I'm parked right in the middle there. I've got all the cargo tucked in now. Okay, well, how the heck do I actually go and do anything with the cargo here, because it's now under the cargo. I'm right in the middle of everything. So my thought is that where the person controls it from is a raised sort of section, and then when I go in and I power down, it settles on the ground, and the part where the engines are is now in the middle of the hallway, and there's like a little stairs that just kind of goes up. Boom, there's the cockpit right in the middle there. There's like the seat, and if I keep walking past it, there's stairs that go back down. So essentially, it's the cockpit itself is now part of the walkway with a little stair that goes up and down on either side, and then it just sits there with the cargo already preloaded on there. So once you land, whether you're in space or whether you're in gravity, strafe off on the elevator, you go down, off you go.
Sounds
There's
like
my
you've
theory.
designed a set of blueprints for this thing already.
and to be honest, this just popped in my head in the last like 5 minutes when we were talking.
Well,
It's not true. I've
I
seen
posted
the
in
design
the
plans.
Discord channel. Sorry, go.
All saying it's not true. I've seen his design plans. He's got this whole thing
Oh.
decked out. He's been planning it for 3 years now.
Well, I was just saying, I posted the little picture, or what I hope it looks like in the Discord channel.
Yep.
Just like, just a little flatbed, little utility flatbed that you can basically throw anything you want on as long as it fits. Maybe a little bit bigger, for the cargo size, but other than that, like, I don't want, like you were saying, I want an open cockpit. I don't want like bells and whistles and environmental protection or any of that. I want it to just be
I don't want safe.
essentially a flat square that floats around and goes where I tell it to.
Floaty square that goes zoom zoom.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it for
But
all the
that's-
Star Citizen stuff.
Yeah, that was the last of the rumors that I had heard. Oh wait, what was it?
But wait, there's more.
There's one other thing. What was it? Oh, still haven't heard any updates about the bomber that we're supposed to still get. So no ideas about who's designing it,
Oh,
what it's going to look
yeah.
like, how big it's going to be, any of that stuff.
That was a while ago.
Yep.
Right, which makes me think that, that's why we should be seeing it relatively soon, because that was back in CitizenCon. So every other ship that they've had us vote on, we've gotten. So where's the bomber?
We got April 2022 subscriber promotions, which are salvo, frag pistol, and arc light embellished pistols. So unique versions of those pistols. And ship of the month is the Origin 400i.
It's a good ship. I don't own one, but I think that's a good, like, upgrade level B starter ship, I think.
Yeah.
It's a fun ship. Cam has one. Right?
Which one?
Did you buy one?
The 400i? Don't you have one? Or did you have one from the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I got one. Don't know if I'll keep it, but
Yeah. No, I to me, that's like one of the, like how in my own head, how I kind of categorize ships. To me, there's ones that you actually need to buy, like with real money, just to be able to get around in the game. But then there's all the rest of them are the ones that to me you should buy in game. And then the third category is the ones you shouldn't buy in game or never buy, because they're just going to be too much of a hassle. But the 400i is definitely like the top 1 or 2 that I would say you definitely need to buy in game.
It's kind of sort of almost the rich man's Cutlass Black. It doesn't quite do as much, but
yeah. Well, I think it's
But
got
it can
better like distance traveling capabilities.
It also has
the
better
Cutlass.
crew. You can have more
And
people on board.
yes,
and it's got the
Cutlass
bike.
Black has 2, 400i has 3.
But yeah, good ship.
Also has, a bathroom and shower, which is a step up from the Cutlass.
Are you hating on the Drake bucket? The
See
new
that
proprietary
cargo deck over there?
System?
Yeah, that's your bathroom.
No.
P corner.
No, those side doors, that's your bathroom.
Yeah, you just go on the cargo deck and then explosive decompression cleans it right out.
Yep.
Look, all I'm saying is, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, while you say that, here, take this canister of bleach and this bucket and this mop, and you can tell us later.
Okay, here, let me just go and clean the inside of your helmet with this bleach drenched mop.
Oh God, I just had a picture in my head of like, how you in certain parts of big cities, you got those people who sit on the street corner with their squeegee or their rag and their little bucket, and they come when it's a red light, they come run out and they start squeegeeing your window, and it's always like
But they
worse than
have
when they
bleach on
started.
their squeegee.
I've never lived in a big enough city to run into those kinds of people.
Okay, you're missing out in life then.
Yeah, missing out. Yeah, okay.
We'll
also, we should
leave it
notice
at
the Here's the thing that they sent about earnable in-game subscriber items. That most pre-2022 items, those that can be player carried, can be added with future flare being added after a 3-month exclusivity window. So every time there's a new subscriber flare, 3 months later it'll be in game. Or that's the plan.
Honestly, I like that idea, and I had a similar idea. We've talked about similar ideas for like how they might want to do ship sales in the future once they're already out, as what they talked about at least previously was shutting down the ship store. But that hey, you could have it to where for one quarter, 3 months, okay, you got 1 quarter, the ship or the subscriber item or whatever is exclusive to those guys, and then it goes into the in-game stores and tables and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they need to do something, because like what the example I constantly revert back to is the I can't think of the proper name for it. I call it the Aztec armor. It was the brownish leather patch.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So, like, to me, I like that set, but you can't get it anywhere unless you're a subscriber. Whereas everything else you can get. And to me, I'm not even saying that I want that like exact coloring version,
just to be able to get the armor
version.
in game. Yeah.
Just give me a different version, a slight off coloration or something, but at least give me that armor set available in the verse for me to get. Maybe make it behind a mission, okay? Yeah, because you want to keep it limited or scarce or whatever. That's fine, but have a way of getting it in the game for everything that the subscribers have. And again, not the exact same thing, but a version of it
like
be available.
For instance, the Nerf guns. I mean,
Also, too, I should know what we've already seen in the loot lists is that, like, for example, the the Paladin helmet that me and Mando used to wear all the time. I have found that exact one at Grimhex, or not Grimhex, at Security Post Korea. So it would seem, at least for now, because also too, it's a lot harder to go and say, here's the subscriber version. Now we're going to make a non-subscriber version for everyone else. It seems, at least at this point, they're just going and saying, just put the subscriber, like the exact same version the subscribers have. You're going to be able to get that too. It's just out and about in the verse. Now we'll probably have other customization options in the future, and at that point, maybe the default we might find would be skewed more toward the non-subscriber versions, the subscriber versions being limited edition or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at least right now, we're getting the exact item, which, hey, I am all for, which also means you should be able to get, come 317, you should be able to get that item, because they're saying everything prior to 2022, subscriber item wise, is going in.
So that means the Paladin helmet, the Nerf guns, the knives, and
all the
other
old
custom
armors,
weapons. Yep.
all the
Yeah,
shit
Like
in
that
there. Now,
rust, the Rust
how
Society
rare it'll
armor,
be,
stuff like that. The leather armor.
Yeah. Yeah, the scarcity or rarity, I'm totally okay with them setting, crazy levels, ludicrous levels. But as long as there is a way in the game, then I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Yeah, because it is still an MMO, and you do have to have people at least have the ability in some capacity to get these things.
Yeah. And I have no problem with them also, saying, hey, our subscriber flare is unique for those people who paid money. Like, I get that. Like, I got no problem with that. And that's why, I'm happy with what Cam's saying, and I hope he's right, which means it is going to be available. But I would totally understand if they said, yeah, no, we're only going to have, variants available. Okay,
Wow,
that's
what
fine.
was that?
His mic fucked up. You peaked for a minute there.
Oh, sorry.
It was painful.
We'll
Mando
never
cried
forgive
a
you.
little bit.
But yeah, just they need it. I like the idea that, like, maybe it's for a quarter. So, you get your subscriber flare, it's yours, it's unique for that quarter, and then, like you're saying, Cam, later on in the game, after that initial quarter, then you start seeing those items pop up in the in-game stores.
Plus,
or
it's good
in the loot.
advertising. Look at
Yeah.
this cool shiny thing, and if you want it, you can buy it right now. And if not, hey, it's a sign of what's to come.
Yeah. Get in the game, play the game, and you have a chance of getting your own without paying the money. I'm down with that. Anywho,
Yep. So
Anywho.
moving right along.
Can we move along?
No, we've been trying.
are we there yet?
But we can't.
We were there.
Cargo space? No, no go space. Cargo road.
Just navigating.
Sorry.
Nava, who?
Alright, well. Let's just beat some of these things out here real quick.
Oh my.
Oh God.
Indeed. So Epic
I thought
launches.
this was PG-13.
Was.
No. Well, first, let me just catch up with the chat because TechCom has been busy in there. He's been telling me what he needs to do to perfect his overlay. The first step is download Krita, which is an art program, and design the layout of the overlay. Step 2, find good background looped clips. Third step, on OBS, organize them in the best way possible. And then he's asking us if we're...
Step, destroy all humans.
And then, no, seventh is world domination. TechCom's asking us, you guys familiar with Dragon Ball Abridged by Team 4-Star?
Somewhat.
No idea.
Like, I've heard of it. I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
No.
I don't know what language you're speaking.
I like your fancy words, Magic Man.
Magic Pants. So
TMI.
Where do you think he's pulling those rabbits out? Okay. Epic launches the Unreal Engine 5, so apparently this was announced today, like just like I don't know, 6-8 hours ago, something like that.
And we're just finding out about this now?
Yeah.
Jeez, Mando.
Sorry. No, it's been out for pretty much a little over a year already in early access, I guess. But I mean, there's already some Unreal Engine 5.
That's this.
Oh, gotcha.
The game engine. It's been out for a little over a year already. Like most people have had, a lot of people with money, a lot of companies have already had access to it. I mean, they had that Matrix demo. That was an Unreal Engine 5. So, but now it's officially out.
Oh boy.
Officially.
Officially. Oh
my.
But yeah, I don't know. It's the Unreal Engine. I have some gripes with I have some gripes with some previous iterations of the Unreal Engine, and I also don't like
the real one.
But this was the one where they had that demo a few years ago where they talked about all the little triangles for all the how you can have the best graphics and rendering and kind of get rid of LODs being passed.
Which, bear in mind, of course, this is a tech demo. They're going to promise you the fucking.
Oh yeah, well I think we covered that tech demo.
We did. We did.
And yeah, and it was like we said the exact thing. Like, yeah, this is on a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. It's like, yeah, PlayStation 5 that has nothing on it except for this tech demo.
Yeah, and they put an extended hard drive on there, and they shoved in all this other shit. And,
yep.
Like they are absolutely cheating behind the scenes.
How would we? Well, how would he know?
Game company doing that? No.
But it bodes well for PC.
Mm-hmm. And PC Master Race, right?
Oh, speaking of which.
Uh-oh.
I know this was a little while ago. I don't know if you guys covered it in a previous episode. Did you talk about Elite Dangerous basically saying F you to the
consoles?
To the consoles?
Again?
Yeah, I think so. I think we covered it, but to cover a little more. So a couple weeks ago here, Elite Day, and bear in mind too, one of the, I don't want to say excuses, but I'll say it. One of the excuses that Frontier Development was giving for, hey, how come, especially on the PC, development has been so lackluster here? They're like, oh, well, we're developing for the PC on the console, and the consoles are, holding us back and that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. And so people are like, okay, sure, not fully buying it, but okay. But now they're saying, hey, we're just going to go and drop any further active development for the console. So there's still going to be like critical bug fixes, but there's not going to be any additional content.
Essentially, the game has
dangerous on the console.
The game has reached its peak on console. It's not getting any better.
Its peak, so it would seem.
Well,
this is their polite way of basically saying, hey, enjoy the game while you can play it because we're not supporting it anymore.
Yeah, essentially that's it. They're killing support for the consoles. Which kind of sucks, but honestly, the game's been kind of going downhill for a while, which is why I left in the first place.
Well, exactly.
Well, to me, that the big deal was that they've basically, and Cam kind of hit on it, is essentially for the past almost 2 years, they've kind of been blowing off the PC community in Elite Dangerous by saying, hey, we're focusing on console. And then they turn around at the very last second and go, hey, no, now that a lot of the PC community has left because of that and a lot of other issues. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, yeah, no, PC guys, we're not going to focus on the consoles. Come back. And it's kind of like everyone's just looking at Elite Dangerous and kind of going, you guys totally fucked yourselves.
What you're doing.
Because you cut off one community, and now you just turned your back on the other community. So now you got no community. Like,
Yep.
And
you just
people make fun of
screwed
Star
yourself.
Citizen. I'm sorry, but
Huh?
they're like you look
What
at
was
how
that?
Elite Dangerous has handled things. Like, yes, they had a relatively finished product on back in 2015 when Star Citizen didn't. But
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the game, just the two games right now, and you just look in the last 2 years and how many Elite Dangerous guys have moved over to Star Citizen. And I don't mean that like oh screw Elite Dangerous. It's just because the game itself is like you love it or you hate it, right? But
It
the way they've been handling the game and the way they've been handling the community is the problem. So like the game itself, like
definitely
there's some problems, but the game itself is still okay. Like it's how they've been handling it that's really the problem there.
Well, I would say that the biggest problem they have is their development, and they've shown at least currently that their devs, or at least whoever is leading the devs, do not care about the community, just because of how many times and how many ways they've gone and shot themselves in the foot here. I mean, where they've gone and been like, oh yeah, we promised chip interiors. We know you guys don't want chip interiors. And the community goes, what the fuck? Of course we do. We've constantly clamored for this. What the fuck? And yet they're what they're actually saying is we are not going to do ship interiors, but we don't care, and we're gonna go and paint it as if it's you saying that.
Yeah. Well, I also heard, and I haven't heard this actually confirmed anywhere else, but I heard that one of the reasons that they're in their current predicament with going away from the console is that their game code actually can't do, and this was also one of the reasons why they did such a bad job on that turnaround about the ship interiors, is that the game code can't support it, and they finally they've reached the limits of what the game code can do, but they didn't want to say that to the community, because essentially what they would have to do to allow those ship interiors and to actually do a proper conversion over to console, they'd essentially have to rewrite the whole game engine to be able to do that. And because they're not willing to admit that, that's why they're willing to basically take these lumps in the face, because they're hoping that by not saying anything, they can at least keep some revenue coming in the door. So
yeah.
No,
but either way, they're screwing over their players, and as we're seeing, it's obviously backfiring horribly because you're screwing over your customers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, as we've seen though, very often here, game companies do not seem to care about the people buying the games anymore. Now, who cares about those chumps? They've already given us their money. I don't know I guess if we get some microtransaction money from them, it's all well and good too. But it would seem, at least from many AAA game developers or wannabe AAA game developers, that the main intent is no longer to make a good product, but just shovel something out as fast as possible. And why bother maintaining something if we're just shoveling shit out?
Yeah, I equate it to the to kind of like the corporate world has moved into gaming, and they're more about like percentages on the spreadsheets than are we actually making a good product, a game that people want to play. And as long as that prevails, we're going to get shittier and shittier service, because service costs money. And service doesn't make money, it costs money, and therefore we don't want to provide that.
Yep. No, I fully agree. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, hopefully something like Star Citizen will basically, kind of reinvent. Yeah, reinvent the
wheel
the
here.
gaming genre, and more people will realize,
Well,
like,
the
hey,
gaming,
if I
the
make a
formula
good
of how you make
product,
games.
people will show up.
Yeah, here's hoping, because like as we've covered and as we're about to cover too, like it's. TechCom says, Terminator versus the Matrix, who wins? He's asking us.
The Matrix, always.
I mean, the Terminator, I mean, yeah, he can learn, but by the time he's actually able to learn and he can do shit, you know, Neo's gonna be all over his ass 10 times over, you know, like... He also says
Well,
PC...
not just that, but he's also the Terminator is based off of computer system.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
that means
you
Neo's
can hack
always
the
gonna
computers. Look, in Terminator universe, humans are able to hack Terminator to work for them. Imagine what the Matrix can do.
Yeah. In your mind.
Exactly. PC needs a break. Most gamers are console players.
I disagree.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like, I would like to see what the statistics are of like how many of all gamers in the world. Like, how many are console versus PC, and even then, those numbers are totally going to be skewed because, at least, I can speak for myself as well as many others I've talked to. A lot of PC guys will also have consoles.
Yep.
So.
And I think a lot of PC people,
or, like you're gonna have essentially like every console player. There's gonna be, it's gonna be two. It's gonna be a console and.
I also think that a lot of PC people are less vocal than the console side, so you're not going to get as much of a response out of them. That doesn't mean that they're not out there. They don't exist. It just means they're not, speaking up. So again, like you're saying, that's where you're not going to get the accurate data back if you were to ask the question, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Techcom also says, just hope Star Citizen doesn't get the death threat rush treatment Cyberpunk got. Oh, that's bullshit. And here's why. We covered the expose a few years ago. Or a few years ago. Last year, whenever it was. I think January 2021. So the death threat had nothing to do with why Cyberpunk is the way it is. The death threat was just convenience. It was kind of that was a dumpster fire in the making. Apparently, the game, when Keanu Reeves came on board, the game was essentially redone, like story-wise. They had to like restart development, and they were still trying to make it for last-gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One, which they shouldn't have. They should have, like, the devs of Cyberpunk were saying, look, this game's not going to be ready by earliest 2022. And the executives were like, no, we got to get this game out by 2020 holiday season. That's what the investors want. That's what we want. We need the money. That we need to monetize on the hype train as high as it is. They keep delaying it, so that's why it came out when it did and in the state that it did. It had nothing to do with the death threat. It was because of mismanagement and the horrible crunch time that CDPR is known for. And the kind of like, okay, we need to make it for last gen and this gen. Like, they should have focused on. They should have taken 3 extra years. It should have been 2023. Game finally comes out. Xbox Series X and PS5 generation only, and obviously. And yeah, that's when it should have. That's how it should have done, according to the developers of Cyberpunk, because they're developing the game and like, hey, this thing is not going to be. In fact, the fact that we got the story of Cyberpunk as good as we did is kind of a miracle. Like the character writing and stuff, but everything else in that game's mods don't even fit that fully. Star Citizen, I mean, look, Star Citizen is they're taking their time to their own detriment in a way. Like, at least in regards to external view, like how other people view Star Citizen, not guys like us who are following it or face to the glass. They see it and like, oh, it's taking forever. It's in development hell, sort of thing.
I like to think of us as kind of like when you got that little kid that's outside the candy store with his nose pressed against the glass.
Yeah, that's us.
That's us.
And everyone else is just walking by, hearing about it every now and then. They're like, "Oh, Star Citizen, that game that's just never going to be finished." I mean, the alternative.
Oh, hey, look, they changed something in the windows, the store window. Interesting.
Yeah. Like, they're seeing, like, the surface changes. We're seeing everything behind... Well, not everything, but we're seeing changes as they happen and more in depth. Because we're following it closely versus someone who's watching it from afar. And, again, it's like everyone's complaining about how long it's taking. But, A, no one's done a game like this before. And, B, the alternative is games like Star Citizen, Cyberpunk, Anthem, Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, you name it, I can keep going.
Battlefield 2044.
Exactly. Halo Infinite. Halo 5, Halo 4 for that matter.
Oh, on a totally random note, supposedly this is old news, but still kind of like it's good news.
Okay.
Supposedly the Arma company, Bohemia Interactive, has another engine, the next generation engine. So they're saying that there will be an Arma 4, and it's still TBD on release, but it'll be in this new engine that, from again, same thing. They're doing tech demos, but it looks really good.
I can see Arma 3 play out all over again, but with better graphics.
Yeah, and well, the one positive to that, well, for me at least, and for some of us, is they're saying they want to go back to the roots of Arma, which was Operation Flashpoint, and the original design was, hey, we just want to have a combat simulator for, at that time, what was the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it was Cold War era.
Cold War.
Yeah.
So all your equipment and all your vehicles and stuff reflected that. And then Arma 3 was kind of like this major departure into the future, and it supposedly takes place in like 2035. And so they went all futuristic with their weapons and the vehicles and stuff. And a lot of the community kind of went, that's not really what we wanted. Like, we're here for the milsim, so we want like what's currently being used kind of stuff.
Which is why modding is so necessary in that game too. It's like, like the Ace mod and stuff, like the Ace Medical mod. They make essentially, it's not like we want the game
RHS
to make it.
are huge. And those
because the mods make it more. It's like essentially filling in the gaps, make it feel more realistic and more simulator.
Yeah.
And honestly, as long as I get to have mods like Operation Trebuchet and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, I have the military sim, and I can have it be like, oh, here's the Arma 4, Halo, whatever. Like, yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah. I love that stuff. It's always fun.
But the positive is that the Bohemia said that their Arma 4 will be going back to its roots, in the sense that it's not going to be futuristic equipment and weapons. It's going to be, they haven't picked what era, but it'll be relatively current to modern times, if that makes sense.
Okay, so are we saying like back to the 80s, 90s, or are we going like 2000s by the time this
I think what they'll probably do is they'll probably go with what we see, like what we have now, but the things that are like prototype level, current day, they will actually implement as best guess scenarios of like
right,
this is
because
the
by the time the game releases,
here's how it works.
Yeah. All right.
Which I'm more down for. Like, I don't want to get too off topic, but like,
no, I mean,
I prefer
we're done
that
with Star
because it kind of sets it to me. It sets boundaries so that you don't just have like, I have the super zap gun sniper rifle that shoots laser beams from 3 miles away kind of gameplay. If that makes sense.
No, I'm with you. I want the more grounded military sim.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I don't
And
care what era. I just
exactly
want to be
like
able
you
to
were
mod
saying.
it.
That's where the mods come in. Is if somebody wants that, super laser death ray from
Right.
3 miles away, then that's where they can,
Honestly,
create that mod or download that mod for that specific gameplay.
I just hope that it's more stable than Arma 3.
Really?
Well, I've seen Arma 3 can get some pretty, like, if you're doing massive operations.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
It's, and especially like with a Zeus running the show, it's like.
Well, there's caveats to that. A lot of people don't invest properly in setting up a server to properly run it. So that's why you do see some very janky gameplay on some people's, like, for content creators and stuff like that. But then if you go to some other content creators who actually do it right,
I've seen there's a night and day difference in how people do it. It's all about asset management, right, when you're doing that. But I'm just hoping that they make it where the game itself is more stable, so that it's less of an issue. Yeah, like this, you know what I mean? Like this, the back end tech is more hardline, so it's less of an issue overall. Like, you're always going to run into that issue because you're dealing with server connection and netcode issues, but desync and the like. But if the game itself is more stable, and just, for instance, like Star Citizen, obviously right now, no, but if you compare Star Citizen now to a few years ago.
You talking the PTU build right now?
No, the live builds. Live builds. PTU is. But there you go. Like, compare PTU right now to live build. Like, it's not, the live build itself right now is not great, but it's still more stable that you can do things.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I just brought that up because it popped in my head. We're kind of talking about like games and things that they're trying to do, and and upgrades and stuff like that. And it just popped in my head that Arma's gonna get another iteration. So.
While we're talking about, also I heard a rumor about a new AVP game being. That's it. It's just a new AVP game in the works. That's really the only.
What's AVP?
Alien vs Predator.
Oh, gotcha.
But that's for games that are no longer in works. So apparently they made a Fast and Furious game. Fast and Furious Crossroads. Was it the
really
title?
a game?
It is getting pulled off stores and I think it came out last year. It was bad, apparently. It was very bad, according to some reviews. It's a movie licensing game, so of course it's going to be. It's either it has the ability to be really good or really crap. And given how it's a Fast and Furious game, it was destined to be crap. We also have EA dropping the FIFA brand because of licensing issues. Covered this a few months ago, or a year ago, whatever it was. But EA will no longer be able to use the name, the FIFA name, so they'll have to rebrand their games. And dropping the FIFA brand presents a risk to EA. But I mean, honestly, not really gonna matter. Just EA itself is brand recognition, and the people that buy these games and do all the macro transaction bullshit in them are not gonna care.
Trying to think of the last sports game I actually played.
The last sports game I played was Madden 08.
Yeah, I'm going back. I think mine was like NHL hockey of like 2000, 2002.
I think I have that. That was a good one. But that was back when they were actually making.
Yeah.
Like, I have Street Ball 2. I always love Street Ball 2. You can play, a basketball game. You can play as I was able to play with my favorite ball players who were no longer, A. Some of them started out in the ABA, so like Dr. J. I'm a huge Dr. fan. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of basketball, I heard a name recently that I had not heard in a long, long time. I didn't even know he was still around. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh yeah, he's still around.
I just in my world of interactions, his name he had dropped off my radar, long ago, and then just like last week, I think I saw him talking about the whole Emmy Awards thing, and I'm like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, why is he talking about this?
Man, I know him from his career, but I always love that scene in Airplane. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play for the Los Angeles Lakers. No, my name's Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot. When they're pulling him, when he's unconscious later, and they're pulling him out, he's got the knee socks, and later he's wearing the goggles.
Yep.
I missed this.
Just think of all the movies we can no longer make because of political correctness.
Yeah, they actually, the guy that made Airplanes, David Zucker, he wrote an article. I believe it was published by the New York Post, but it got circulated everywhere. And he writes about the whole political correctness bullshit, and it's great. Like, it's because he's a comedian. He's talking about like how it's just this, like, it's a very vocal but minority. It's like just 3% people, but they're really loud. So the ideal solution is just kill them all. I mean, obviously that's not a humane thing to do. We should just ignore them. But I just say we kill them all and be done with it, because he wants to make good movies and just have fun again. Like, you can't have fun anymore. And then Techcom in the chat starting to quote Airplane. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down the court, and that you only really try, and you don't really try except during the playoffs. The hell I don't! Listen, kid, I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Linear up and down the court for 48 minutes. God, I love that movie. Timmy, you ever watch...
I always remember is, and don't call me Francis.
No, don't call me Shirley. Shirley, you must be serious. Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious.
Yeah.
Don't call me Shirley. I think that was his first comedian role, Leslie Nielsen. He turned an entire career out of it, like a second career out of it. He was a serious drama guy before. Hospital? What is it? It's a building full of patients. That's not important right now.
In Canada.
The captain every time. You ever watch gladiator movies? You ever seen a grown man naked? Alright, moving on. Well, honestly, this is actually relevant. Well, not super relevant, but it is somewhat on. So, Activision Blizzard, they're in the news again. So, actually, the Wall Street Journal last week announced, like, they were covering the story. Apparently, in September, they were being investigated and sued by the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And they were reaching a settlement for $18 million. The Department of Fair Employment and Housing was trying to interfere because they were afraid that the outcome of that lawsuit would impact their own lawsuit. This was the original. That's the DFEH of California is the original lawsuit that we covered. So it turns out they did settle. The EEOC and Activision Blizzard settled for $18 million. Now, Activision Blizzard last year made a revenue of, I think, $8.8 billion. Almost $9 billion. Well, they settled.
Why they settled, because it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. They settled for $18 million. You know how much the CEO of Intel made this past year? 180 million. Like, that's chump change for them. Bobby Kotick, because Activision Blizzard, they're going to be acquired by Microsoft. It still has to be approved by FTC. But it has to be approved first, and if approved, Bobby Kotick will be fired. However, he will also be given a $15 million parachute when he is kicked.
Shoes?
This is just one man getting $15 million. And he is responsible for most of the shit that went down. He should not be getting $15 million, he should be getting criminal charges.
No, you can't say that because part of the court settlement is that you're not allowed to actually say anyone was responsible for anything.
Yeah.
Well, I can say whatever I can't say whatever I want, but I'm not part of that lawsuit.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. But that was actually more recent news. The news I planned on covering when writing the topics was new lawsuit that started 2 weeks ago. Yes, 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago there was a new lawsuit. So Activision Blizzard was hit by a new lawsuit of 2 weeks ago, alleging that a current employee experienced sexual harassment and discrimination at the video game maker and was retaliated against for speaking out about her experiences, which lines up with the original July 21st of 2020 court filing that we read multiple times. The suit was filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on behalf of an employee referred to as Jane Doe by attorney Lisa Bloom, who in December hosted a press conference in front of Blizzard's Irvine, California office to detail what she called an alcohol-soaked culture of sexual harassment. For years, Activision Blizzard's open frat boy environment fostered rampant sexism, harassment, and discrimination, with 700 reported incidents occurring under CEO Robert Kotick, aka Bobby Kotick, his watch. And a Wall Street Journal article pointed out how he was aware of what was going on, he was not telling the investors, and he even tried to have his assistant killed. According to the complaint, killed.
Wow.
And also remember, they had these. Were you there when we were covering it? But the employee that committed suicide at the company party, her family is now suing. Yeah, this was in the original lawsuit. At that party, there was a company party the year before she committed suicide where they were handing out nudes of her, and then at the party, and then when she did commit suicide at this a party the year later, her boss brought a butt plug and lube. Probably was. And apparently there was text messages, so her family's now suing for irreparable damages and such. And it's revealed a whole bunch of new evidence, like text messages the day she died, with a friend, like don't do it, whatever, like all stuff that really implied what was going on. And also revealed how Activision Blizzard kind of all but made her a non-employee, like erased her digital footprint at the company and all her records, and refused to hand over her phone and stuff, essentially handing over evidence and shredding the evidence that they didn't hand over.
So normal corporate stuff.
Unfortunately. But yeah, according to the complaint, Jane Doe began working at Activision Blizzard in 2017 as a senior administrative assistant to executives in the IT department. In fact, this is the new lawsuit from 2 weeks ago. It's separate. On her first day of work at the initiation launch, Doe was pressured to take tequila shots and was told by leadership that as part of her initiation, she needed to share an embarrassing secret to everyone. Doe alleges that she was often pressured to drink alcohol, participate in cube crawls, which, as pointed out in the original Department of Fair Employment and Housing court filing and lawsuit against Activision. Cube crawl was when the men were getting drunk, literally crawling from cubicle to cubicle and groping women appropriately.
Yikes.
As well as comments and so yeah, she had to participate in cube crawls and stay late after work to participate in a game called Jackbox, which Doe says she was told was to determine how well she'd fit in with the group. According to Doe, the game required each individual to suggest creative answers to various questions, which were mostly sexual in nature. The complaint alleges Doe started to dress more conservatively so she wouldn't get sexually harassed, and that she tried to distance herself from off-site leadership dinners. He also complained about excessive drinking and sexual advances made by her supervisors, but was told that it was just her leadership being nice and trying to be friends with her. It says.
Like, no, that's fucking gaslighting. Fuck that shit.
Well, this is Activision Blizzard, the same company that when the initial lawsuit began, started this whole thing, this whole rabbit hole. They were like, no, this is distorted lies and untrue whatever about us. And then a few months later, no, that was old Blizzard. We've changed now. And then a few months after that, it was, okay, we're changing things. Like, just straight out admitting that they...
Not that anything was wrong in the first place.
Also, the fact that they haven't changed anything and it's all still going on as we speak. Oh, crap, where was I? Doe was instructed to keep her concerns to herself because she could be damaging to the company. Because remember, it's all about the company. And she began to face a hostile work environment due to her complaints. To escape the rampant sexism in the IT department, Doe applied to and was rejected from many other open positions in the company. According to the suit, Doe complained in writing to Blizzard's then president, Alan J. Brack, who was involved in the whatchamface, right? He was involved in that Cosby suite that we covered.
Mm-hmm.
The whole episode dedicated to that. If anyone watching ever know what the hell we're talking about with that, we have a whole episode dedicated to just that one story. It was yikes.
Yep.
About the sexual harassment and retaliation, only after that complaint was she offered a role in a different department, which she accepted despite the lower status and significant salary decrease. So that right there, it's, she's willing to get demoted and take less pay in order to get out of a situation. And that situation must be pretty bad. No? Am I wrong for thinking that? Doe says she applied for... Oh, I already... No. Doe says she applied for an open executive assistant position in November 2021, but that after she spoke at a press conference in December 2021 about the sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation she endured, her application was rejected. The suit seeks various court orders, including requiring Activision to implement a rotating human resources department to avoid conflicts of interest with management, to retain a neutral investigation firm, and to fire CEO Bobby Kotick, among other demands. Causes of action: hostile work environment, quid pro quo, failure to prevent harassment, sexual favoritism, retaliation, sexual battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The usual, unfortunately. The case is Doe versus Activision Blizzard. Wants to look it up. This story, I believe, was reported by Bloomberg. Yes. Yeah, 700 reported cases, by the way. 700.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And they have this is a company of a few tens of thousands of employees. But still, say you have 12,000 employees. 700 makes more than half.
Well, the only way you're going to stop it is by voting with your wallet.
Yep. I mean, I haven't bought an Activision Blizzard product in
voting with your
decade.
wallet doesn't cut it anymore.
Unfortunately, that is actually true because, I mean, you see a lot of these companies. Well, I shouldn't say they're losing money. They're losing money from the specific product in question. Like, say,
Yes.
just listing off the top of my head, the Batwoman TV show, right? It's like ultra politically correct nonsense stuff, you know. The whole the trailer, you know, the bat suit will be perfect when it fits a woman and all that. It's about men bad, women good. And the show's ratings suck. Like, if this were 20 years ago, this show wouldn't have made it past like episode. The ratings are horrible. However, this isn't about the money. It's not about making good product to keep making more products to then keep making money. It's all about the, you know, identity politics and propaganda bullshit. So they clearly don't care. Like, oh, we're losing money from this thing, but we're getting an influx of cash from either the government or some other product, so we can essentially have fuck you money to throw at this project to push our narrative.
Yep.
It's usually how it works. Unfortunately, these days, that's how it works.
I didn't say it was a good idea. I was just saying that's about.
Oh no, it is the most we can do. It is the most effective we can do, and unfortunately, it is not much. But you're absolutely right.
Yep.
And in the case of the video game companies, it does actually make a little bit of a difference, because the video game companies, I don't want to say aren't all political, whatever, but they're not. It's not like Disney or, you know, CW and Warner Brothers. It's not that bad, at least, because if it were, you would be seeing it more in literally every game that comes out, as opposed to like every 3 games that comes out that we are seeing it. Either way, yeah, just, you know, don't buy these shit games. The games are crap anyways, right? I mean, you're looking at games today, comparing the games from 20 years ago. Oh, it's already a game from 20 years ago. The only difference between games today and games 10 years ago is the graphics are better. Aside from that, either they're the same game or they're worse than 10-year-old. Yeah, that's the story with the new lawsuit going on there. It's just unfortunately more of the same. But at least this lawsuit specifically is calling out Bobby Kotick, even though, again, he's at this point, you know, when Activision gets when the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft goes through, he'll be fired and he'll get $15 million or $20 million, whatever it is. I think it's 15. Either way, still a significant sum of money when he departs, as opposed to, you know, pressed with criminal charges. Yeah, no.
No, got anything positive?
I guess this is positive, but it's still on the same topic of Activision Blizzard. So we were talking about Microsoft before. So Microsoft, we got some Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard news. Microsoft will not stand in the way if Activision Blizzard recognizes Raven Software's union. The Raven Software, the QA testers for the Call of Duty stuff, they've been on strike and they've been trying to unionize. And Microsoft is saying, hey, if you guys do that, we're not going to interfere or anything like that. Which is good, because a lot of people were worried that Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard would essentially nullify their unionization and their mistreatment. I do have a problem with the whole Activision Blizzard being bought out. Not that like they shouldn't be. I mean, at this point, just absorb the freaking buy out the company and dissolve it, I guess, would be the best option. Right, just take the IPs, but fire everyone else. That's because the only way you're gonna fix that is clean house, start over, really. But with the Microsoft thing, I mean, as we've seen, Sony, Bungie, Insomniac, Riot Games, Activision Blizzard, all Ubisoft. This whole sexual harassment and discrimination thing is a industry norm. It's normal within the industry for this type of stuff to occur. We'd be fools to think that Microsoft doesn't do it, especially a company like Microsoft, as big as it is. So, like some people believe that Microsoft buying Activision, that's going to magically fix things.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Keep dreaming, right?
Hey, hello to the new boss, same as the old boss.
I mean,
Microsoft
that's
like,
what
hey, we're saved
for us
Microsoft.
here in New York
I
City.
wouldn't say it's saved, more like under new management.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, look, I experienced that recently with the mayor in New York here. We got everyone's like praising this new guy, Adams. When he got the job, and I'm like, this guy's just going to be a little bit less bad than the last guy. Not going to be any better. It's not going to be any better. It's just going to be less incompetence. But that's not saying much. And turns out I was right. Meet the new mayor, same as the old mayor. Crime's still up. Homeless. You got a shit flinger at the subways. A literal shit flinger.
Well then. Flinger? I barely know her.
But yeah, we also have the EU antitrust regulators are gauging concerns over Microsoft's cloud business. That's not what I want to look into. This is what I want. So, U.S. senators urge FTC to look further into Microsoft Activision. So apparently, a lot of U.S. senators are like, "Nah, something doesn't look right. Something doesn't look right." Apparently, 4 senators in the U.S. have sent a letter to the Federal Trade Commission pressing to investigate Microsoft's Activision of Activision Blizzard. Right, saying that 10 times fast. The letter was signed by Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, and Sheldon Whitehouse, which pressured the FTC chairwoman Lina Khan to look into whether the deal will worsen the slew of misconduct lawsuits that Activision is currently facing. The Wall Street Journal reported. They're currently concerned about consolidation in the tech industry and its impact on workers. Letter read. It went on to note that the deal in its current form allows Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick to stay on at the firm until it closes in 2023, and highlighted that the executive is in line for a huge payment upon his departure from the role, which we talked about. Since the deal was announced back in January, over 1,300 employees have called for Kotick's exit, as have a group of Activision Blizzard shareholders. And aren't the investors also suing them?
I think so.
The calls for his departure followed allegations that Kotick failed to act on multiple accounts of sexual harassment, misconduct, and discrimination at the firm over several years, and in some instances contributed to the culture. The lack of accountability, despite shareholders, employees, and public calling for Kotick, whatever his name is, to be held responsible for the culture he created, would be an unacceptable result of the proposed Microsoft acquisition. It added that the FTC should oppose the deal should it impact workers' ability to negotiate with the company. According to the Wall Street Journal, an Activision spokeswoman said that the transaction won't affect any of the other actions the company is taking to improve its workplace. To which I say, what improvements? What action? The FTC began investigating the Microsoft deal back in February to determine whether the deal will harm competition in the sector. Honestly, at this point, probably not, because competition's kind of artificial in this industry at this point. I mean, it'll hurt consoles, I guess. But yeah.
Still waiting for the positive.
Keep waiting. Well, here's your positive. Activision Blizzard drops COVID-19 vaccine requirement.
Okay.
Well,
What does that mean?
I mean, it's not negative. Meanwhile, here in New York, I don't know if they've changed it since, but our mayor is like, hey, no more vaccine mandates for athletes and performers and entertainers. But if you happen to be an employee who works at the locations that these people entertain and perform and play at, right? Like, say, a vendor at a stadium, well, you still have to have the vaccine in order to go to work, otherwise you're fired.
Of course.
Yeah, we're at the point where economics is more important than people's health.
Or people's livelihoods and ability to support themselves and their families, if they have families. I don't know if you can count this.
On that positive note, I think I'm going to bail out.
All right, I do want to say though, apparently Microsoft was hacked a few weeks ago.
Yay!
A cyber attack.
They got something valuable.
Exactly. Microsoft confirms that the source code for Cortana and Bing were compromised and stolen. Bing. I didn't realize Bing was still around.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week.
Yep, that's about it.
I don't die.
Bye.
But it is kind of amusing. Cortana got hacked.
What's not surprising.
No, I mean, Cortana and Halo 2, I guess you can make the argument that she got hacked then too, Gravemind, but now actual hackers got her. Microsoft confirmed it's been hacked, but it was able to stop the lapses before it can get away with more data. Aww. Yesterday's report that Microsoft had been compromised by lapses, the same hacker group that's been terrorizing tech organizations like Nvidia and Samsung, has been proven correct. Microsoft admitted to being hacked in a security blog post last night. It was written back in March 23rd, so March 22nd. Our investigation has found that a single account had been compromised, granting limited access. Our cybersecurity response teams quickly engaged to remediate the compromised account and prevent further activity. Honestly, this is more just amusing than... I mean, it is bad that Microsoft got hacked because, people use Microsoft operating systems. People have accounts and stuff like that, but... I know. If you don't do anything to these companies, they get comfortable, and that's not good. Gotta make them twitch a bit, right?
Is that what we're calling it?
But apparently. So we got more lawsuits with the Activision Blizzard case. U.S. senators are getting involved and want to investigate the Activision Blizzard Microsoft deal, and the new lawsuit's calling for Bobby Kotick to just be ousted, whether the acquisition goes through or not. Should have been anyways. It is a very, very odd time.
Yep.
I'm just reading. I'm catching up on the chat, and TechCom's just been quoting Airplane. It's great. I like my coffee black, just like my men. Billy, you ever been in Turkish prison?
No, he's too ticklish. Yeah, that one failed.
That was a nice try, though. Cockpit? What is it? It's a little room in front of the plane. That's not important. Oh, that reminds me. I still have that freaking... I can find it. We mentioned Epic before.
Yep.
It's relevant.
Does it have to be, though?
I mean, it's funny. God damn it.
Anywho, what else? Do we have anything?
I don't think we have anything. Oh, no, we do. E3 2022 has been canceled. There's not going to be, there's no in-person show, there's no digital show. I mean, they're probably going to still do
no
something.
Digital show either.
Yeah. And we should note, it's just this year. It's not like, oh, there's no more E3. Just no E3 this year.
Well, that being said, though, bearing in mind that with E3, especially last year to where it was fully digital, a lot of companies were like, hey, let's go and do our own event or show or whatever else. And then this year kind of going, well, hey, why would we go back to E3, especially when we're having to pay you guys to do this when we can just keep doing our own thing? So I do see E3, at least initially here, as being a lot thinner than it was
Well,
before.
they've also, apparently they're trying to revamp E3 and kind of like, because all the big names, both like studios, publishers, and celebrities have left.
Yep.
And
that's probably another reason too why they are saying, "Hey,"
because essentially now they're competing for what used to be their clients.
Exactly, and also too, they're probably going, "Okay, what can we do to go and pull people in?" You know, and they're going to use this time to go and kind of reevaluate their strategy, which makes sense. Smart thing to do.
Yeah, honestly, like we covered E3 live last year. It was pretty abysmal.
Yep.
Especially since like all these, for the most part, all these guys now have their own major. Sony's got PlayStation State of Play, or future of PlayStation whatever. EA's got the EA Play. Like they all got their own shows at around the same time. Whether it's like Xbox has one in July, probably a month later. It's like they all have a different things. At this point, and especially since back in 2019, E3, the ESA, like I don't trust the ESA. And apparently it's for good reason, because the ESA was doxing those that attended, like reporters and those that had access, like access.
Yep.
So, and their website security was horrible, which is how people found out about this in the first place, because someone was able to hack it and see all the like address information, mail, and all that stuff. for everyone who is doxxed, which is a huge data security breach.
Not that it's that surprising, but still.
No, but it does make you question who the hell does their pen testing.
No one. We do it ourselves, right?
That's not how you. Of course, it's cheaper to do it that way, and that's why you end. Oh wait, I think I found it.
The Muffin
Oh
Man?
no, I didn't find. Well, I found the clip, but it's not. It doesn't have the little animation. It's essentially, you know, the scene in Airplane where the chick is freaking out, and then everyone starts lining up to slap her.
Yep.
It was that, but she's Epic Game Store. It's like, I don't need Steam. I can do it myself. And then, you know, like you have all these different like PC players like slapping her, and then you have GOG, all these like different store platforms. Pirate Bay was in line. Like everyone was just getting in line to smack some sense into Epic. I think it was made in like 2019. It was around the same time when we learned Epic was leeching data off of people, selling it to a third-party company. No one talks about. TechCom saying when that little girl said that, I was on the floor laughing my butt off. Airplane when she like my coffee black, just like my men. I always enjoyed with the boys reading Nun's Life and nuns reading boys. And like on Nun's Life, the cover art is a nun on like a surfboard. The old grandma that was speaking jive. Jokes that you can't do today. Jokes you really can't do today.
Just for that, you're canceled.
Oh, please. We already got canceled last week. I just fixed it today.
Exactly, you're canceled again.
Which reminds me, anyone that's watching this, whether live or on the replay, last week we did a episode dedicated to the Halo TV show. And CBS didn't like that. And they blocked the video. I have fixed it, and the video is now back up. But it may go back down in a month from now, depending on how they take my claim dispute. I used a lot of legal jargon just to talk with them. It helps to know your copyright and trademark laws. Don't fuck with an artist who knows how to copyright and trademark shit. Or is learning slowly. By the way, we were invited to join a watch party of the Halo TV show. Like, and it's like a bunch of Halo fans that are just MST3K'ing it. Discord server.
Appreciate it, but no.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I kind of want to, but at the same time, if I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch it with you, and we're gonna either laugh our asses off, or be sitting there in pain, regretting our decision. And something tells me it's going to be the latter. Also, I've had on one of the arcade cabinets, I've had the Pillar of Autumn mission playing on the entire time. Covered the Activision Blizzard stuff. as I set all this up, I was like, oh, judge prepares to approve the Activision Blizzard settlement with the EOC, but since then they actually settled, so.
Unless that's what they want you to think.
$18 million, like that's insulting.
Yep.
Especially when Riot Games was charged like $100 million or something like that for their lawsuit settlement. So, and given the, I wanted to scale. No, but given the popularity, that's not the right word. I guess the state of this case, right? The Activision Blizzard case, where everyone knows about it, the reputation of it. Like, a lot of people are worried that it's going to set the standard of how things go in the future. And if a settlement of $18 million fixes things, that's not good.
Yep.
Like, a person died. Hey, you know what one of the April Fool's jokes was for the Alpha 3.16.2 patch? Removed all armor from all Drake ships. Rock DS requires 3 players to operate now.
Did you see why? One player to monitor the bio readings of the other 2. It would be nice if way down the line, if we were able to get through like Cousin Crows. Like, you know, I'm talking like, you know, this would probably even be like after full release, but it'd be nice if like at Cousin Crows, if they were like, hey, by the way, here's a upgrade for the rock that you can buy that fully encloses the cockpit and adds, makes it so it has life support. You know, it costs as much as the rock itself, but hey, if you want to do it. You know, or the thing with the DS, you know, makes it so that the the minor operator is now like a separate little cabin kind of thing.
Trading consoles are now fixed 60% of the time. They work every time. The Origin 404s to help avoid pilots from losing their ships. Due to shortages in Champagne, in the Stanton system, all 890 jump claim times are doubled. Twilight Polish Pass. Burrito buff. Eating Torpedo Burrito now has both buff and debuff effects. Debuff is 65% chance to stomachache, which reduces movement by 50%. Buff is repel other players using our newest procedural smelling technology, Wipe.
Yep.
Smell over IP.
No, it's Smell-O-Vision. Futurama did it first.
Yep. Remember, what was it? Tom's teeth. The only teeth strong enough to eat other teeth. All syncs have been removed from the game in an attempt to fix desync. That's probably the best one.
The best part is someone who reads it without knowing that it's meant to be a joke, and then they're going like, huh?
It helps to look in the little corner over here and go, oh, April 1st. But honestly, like the first thing you're gonna read is added sandworms and you instantly know, yeah, right. Like,
but you never know.
the real joke is that a lot of this stuff is going to be added into the game at some point or another. Crossbow, snow polish, where snow will actually stick to the boot. Like, a lot of this stuff is planned. It's just nowhere near ready. As for the Cutlass Purple,
You don't think the Cutlass Party Boat's going to be a thing?
I gotta show.
Oh, ye of little faith.
I gotta show footage of the Cutlass Party Boat so that the people watching know what the hell we're talking about. What am I doing? Playlist on my freaking channel. Regular channel, the freaking channel.
I've had a lot of fun at Drake's expense over the years, but when you get down to it, there's no denying their power and versatility. Take the venerable Cutlass. With the red and blue variants, they continue to iterate on the classic chassis. Now we're here with reps from Drake, and I have the next Cutlass variant, the Cutlass Purple.
That is a really, really big,
You know, for parties.
disco ball.
Sound system, cocktail bar, glitter ball.
Details.
By the sure, look at the size of that thing. Got some big cojones on that thing. Oh my god, I just realized, if Soundwave were in Star Citizen, he'd be a Cutlass Purple.
Yup.
You know, for parties. Sound system, cocktail bar, glitter ball.
Yeah, the 2950 show was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I mean, the 2951 show was pretty good too, but they did that whole, like, character finding story thing, which was good. It was just weird. Did that whole, like, and double audio. Okay, how do I will have to set timestamps later on so people watching later can go, oh, I just want to watch the Activision stuff versus, oh, I just want to watch the Star Citizen stuff. Obviously, if they got this far into the video, they'll know that Star Citizen stuff was first and the stuff was second. The title wouldn't play. Hear a dog barking outside. Oh, shall we wrap it up, my good friend?
I thought we were wrapping up like an hour ago.
Consider it a wrap. Want to support? Well, yeah. So that's the stories of the week. Tune in next time, same bat time, same bat channel stuff. Hopefully next week we do
And
Monday.
bad stuff.
What? And bad stuff.
All the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Yep, we do all the stuff. We say it as it is, not as it's. I don't know. We say it as it is. That's the whole point. But yeah, so hopefully it's next. Ooh, nice infinity effect. Hopefully it's Monday instead of Tuesday. The last 2 shows have been on Tuesday. I had a thing yesterday, so we're gonna. Yeah, so Monday, 7:15 Eastern Standard Time, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard. April 11th. Where'd my mouse go? So yeah, should be fun. Probably, maybe. Hopefully, 317 isn't in such a sad state by then. We can even play it. Maybe. If you want to help support the channel, you guys know the drill. Share, thumbs up if you enjoyed, or thumbs down if you didn't. Tell us why you didn't. Subscribe if you haven't. If you have, make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube likes to fuck with people, including especially us. If you want to join us on Discord, links right there. Description. Got link to the eBay stuff. Link to the merch stuff over here. Here's some cool stuff right here. Black screen, gray screen. Reloads.
X Sejira.
You know what it is? I haven't typed Alt F4. Okay, there we go. Why isn't it with the other stuff?
Because fuck you.
Censorship. Sorry, I have another tab open. Hi, we have delisted some of your stuff, materials, but they are very nice about it. They're saying that I can dispute it. Because there's supposed to be a shirt all the way down the bottom. Well, there's supposed to be 2. One is a t-shirt that says this is not a t-shirt. And the other one is a t-shirt that says every second you're a second away from death. Oh, here it is. Okay, they didn't get rid of it. My mistake. Yep, here. This is not the t-shirt you're looking for. And our favorite, what the frick fracks next night. Give a dog a bone kind of bullshit. On that note, goodbye.